whatever date. Ready?
We are ready. Angel, do the roll call, please.
Sure. We're going to call the regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors of Celebration Community Development District. Today is Tuesday, August 27th, and the time is 6 p.m. Present, we have Greg Filak on Zoom, Tom Tuzin,
Here.
David Hume,
Here.
Jack McLaughlin,
Here.
Cassandra Starks. Here. And we do have audience members.
Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we have approval of the meeting agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment period. Oh, so we have one person.
It'll be the usual 3 minutes. Gary Hubspeth, 1471 Resolute Street. I may not be here for your public comment for the proposed rule on parking and towing. So I'll give you 2.5 minutes right now. I looked at section 3. You have a definition for commercial vehicles, and there's 3 items defining what a commercial vehicle is. And they're separated by the word "or," which tells me that any one of the 3 defines a commercial vehicle. The last one is dual-wheeled trucks. I consider that 4 tires on 1 axle, which in colloquial terms is a dually, is what people call it. Some homeowners own type of trucks because they enjoy them. I don't know where they are, but there are several around the community. And I'm asking you to perhaps change that to 2-axle trucks. In other words, with more or 3-axle trucks, perhaps, rather than just say a 2-wheel truck, because people do own these trucks. Or you could just remove the 3rd item and let the first 2 items define commercial vehicles, which I think are sufficient. Just to let you know, we talked about this in the CROA Covenants meeting about 2022, and we decided to not use the language of 2-wheel vehicles because people own these kind of pickup trucks. So it is not in any of the rules or covenants for CROA. That's my recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Good afternoon. I'm not officially on the agenda because I don't have anything special to report, but I wanted to let you know that I was here if you had any questions. We hadn't gotten any additional calls, even though the rain, as you can see, has picked up. So we haven't heard anything yet, but if you do get anything that comes out to you directly, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know if there's any concerns in a particular area.
I did have one thing, and Angel, I spoke to you at the speed of drivers.
Yes.
Is that already
They
addressed?
They reached out to me.
Okay, that's
Yes.
all. That's all I need.
And we do, just for your own benefit, we have a category on the new app for the community, mosquitoes.
Okay.
So they can easily click on that and submit a ticket, but we haven't had any concerns or issues other than the speeding down alleyways or streets.
All right, and that addresses the operation.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Angel, I did have one question.
Okay.
There was, I thought I read in the Orlando Sentinel, there were some mosquito outbreaks, and I can't remember what the diseases were, but they were coming into the Orlando area. Are there any special treatments or anything we need to be considerative of, or things that are already happening?
No, I think the one you're talking about, is it one of the usual, there's a new disease, but that's a different story. So it's the new one.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. There's a new one that's actually coming in from a biting midge, but they found that a certain type of mosquito can carry it. We haven't seen anything locally here, so it's all been from someone coming from Cuba or someplace else where they were infected with it. Because of the type of mosquito that could possibly, if they were to kind of cross along the way, start being a vector of it, is one that we already treat for anyway, because it's a common mosquito in Florida. So it wouldn't be anything different that we would need to do for it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, third-party reports and presentations. Carl? No one from Carl. Jack, have you had any updates with growing?
No, I've looked at the last couple of meetings and they just haven't even addressed us.
Okay, yeah, I don't think they're going to till probably till.
No.
Incorporation, I think there was an update on
Yep.
this.
Update on there, unless you have something to add to my update.
No, just that the statute was repealed. The question is whether it would be applied retroactively or not. Department of Commerce had initially said in the last couple of weeks that they would not give a comment about that or respond in writing. They've now said they would prepare a response. So hopefully we'll have something fairly soon.
Jan, you're saying Department of Commerce. I thought we were going to the AG and waiting for an AG opinion.
No, we
No.
are going to Department of Commerce that regulates CDDs.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the opinion we've been waiting on now for 4 months
Yes.
or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything else on incorporation?
No.
Okay. Osceola County Sheriff's Department, I don't think we have anything here.
I plan to meet with them in September, to talk about the Halloween plan. Details and traffic and all that good stuff. So once I have a confirmed date, I'll let the board know.
Okay, thank you.
Can we make any comments about the sheriff's department?
As long as they're within the law.
My only comment is I still haven't seen a blotter. There's been some vehicles stolen in Celebration recently, not a word from the sheriff's department. I still haven't seen any radar downloads as far as traffic things. And I looked at the deputy activity reports, and all I saw was activity reports from August 1st through the 13th, which roughly ran about 4 hours per day, roughly 55 hours over a 2-week period.
Do we need an audit?
Well, my question is, we're paying for 40 hours a week, and we're getting 55 hours of service in 2 weeks.
I don't think let me check on that, because I know we're getting the hours that we put in because I see the detail report. So let me make sure why they didn't make it into the agenda.
Okay.
And then if we're not, then I'll let you all know.
Right.
But I believe we are pretty confident in that, but
Okay.
let me check.
Well,
Keep pushing on that, because I know there's some residents actually, called me about, hey, do we have radar reports? Do we have, I'm like, no.
And the blotter, we've asked a few times. The last one y'all got, he physically brought to Greg.
okay.
So I'll continue
This
to
should be
request that.
in today's world, this should be automated. You run the report, you send it.
And Tom, I've asked for that and mentioned that to them several times. It's just, there's only so many times I can say it. I don't know how else to convey
Yeah.
that to them.
I know. Okay.
So it has been requested, but I'll stay on top of them. And then radar downloads, we'll get those as well. And then let me check on the detail reports.
And I was just saying, the downloads, there is actually a printed thing or a report that comes out that you don't have to just do raw data. It
does it for you.
fills the whole format for you. And I think I sent it in on the evaluation for Inchmark.
You did.
Jack, the last time he pulled it, what he was saying was the way we're zoned, he pulled out the stuff that was on the enterprise side because everything up around Celebration Place and the hospital falls in the zone. So he was pulling that out manually. He was also pulling out other things. He was also pulling out other things. I think he mentioned like, hey, if there was a domestic call or something like that, things that were not repeat community concerns of burglaries and robberies and things like that. If it was just an individual incident at one place, he was pulling those out. They're still public records, so there's no reason he couldn't include them.
Yeah, well, I think you're talking about activity reports right now. We're talking about radar downloads.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Okay.
what you're talking about, Greg, yes. What he's talking about, that's something we do.
Yeah.
Russ needs to
And I'm
pull
not
that
asking you
data and be able to present it.
to do a lot of work on the data. Just plug it in the report and let
Spit
it
it out.
Yeah.
fly.
And that's fine. We can do that.
Okay. Anything else? Consent agenda.
Move to approve.
I did have something on consent that I'd like to take a look at, were the meeting minutes from last meeting.
Okay, that time to discuss.
Well, you need a second.
Well,
Okay, second.
all right. Second.
Now
There
you
we
can
go.
discuss.
Okay, so for on page 8, on item 7H is in hotel. I actually went back and listened to the meeting the video just to make sure I heard it right, what I thought I remembered. The motion of what we decided to discontinue as far as Dick's Height and any other activities was specifically related to the cost of activities. And we did have some dialogue about, hey, if there were and this is all in context of community centers and bonds and things like that. The conversation was around the cost, so that there was going to be no more approval. Obviously, that specific motion was on Dick's Heights Amendment 4. And that we were also not approving, hey, it was going to come back to the board if we needed any more legal time or any more time from Mark or something like that. But there was no discussion about staff's time where they're already on a fixed cost. There was no discussion about discontinuing their efforts there if we needed them for something. And I'm thinking in terms of some of the reports we're continuing to get in, things like that. I want to make sure that the record's accurately reflecting. It was just no more cost expenditures.
I mean, you made the motion, Jack. My understanding was anything having to do with the community project or whatever we're calling it, nothing else was to move forward except for what the board had already approved, which was up to work order 3. That was my understanding. Was that yours?
That was what it was, yeah.
Okay.
I got a response from you guys that we're not supposed to even be working on that.
On work order 3?
No, everything
Yeah,
through work
yeah,
order
work order
3.
They're working on, they're currently working on work order 3.
But even other work, like the appraisal, that's for already approved work. Why didn't you cease work on that?
Because the motion was no further expenditures or work on the master.
That,
Yeah.
see, I disagreed with the term work because I voted against it, so it's.
Yeah.
But it's.
The appraisals went through, but her doing additional work to dive into certain things on the appraisal, that's what we were talking about. But the appraisals have already been done.
Yeah, the appraisals were already done, so there's no point in stopping because they were
Yeah,
already done.
no, they were already done. They were already in the
That's
midst
already
of
done.
being done. But I think where Dave, what he's talking about is there were some additional things that were asked for legal to look into regarding the appraisals. And that's where it was come back. And if that's the board's decision to have Jan go ahead and do that, we can absolutely do that. But that was the understanding that we had, and maybe we were wrong.
What's the motion? What's the wording of the motion?
It says to suspend consideration of work order number 4 and any further expenditures or work on the master plan project.
Right.
And what I'm saying is or work was not in the discussion of the meeting. It was a cost.
It's on the
related-
minutes.
13.
13.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Jack, you made the motion. Clarify it. We'll get it corrected.
Let me
And
modify
then-
that then. In relation to any further expenditures towards Dick's Height, then I would suspend everything.
Well, that's
Yeah,
the
we
problem.
can't-
Suspend everything is getting us.
Well, not everything. Well,
Well, we
So-
have to kind of go back to, we
You have
are
to-
clarifying it, so we need to know what the motion was, and if we want to clarify, we do that
Yeah.
outside of the minutes. Right now, we're.
Make
just
sure
looking-
everybody has a clear understanding of what the motion actually was.
So, okay, I'll bring this up because then we love staying more time on this. So there's three three understandings of this. The community's understanding, or the few people who decided to post, said that we killed it. We did not.
Didn't kill
That
it.
is
That was
correct.
100% incorrect.
That is, yeah.
Because there was 2 words that were used, suspend and pause.
Yep.
Those are the 2 words that were used, okay? My understanding is when it was read, it was suspend all. It didn't get specifics on it, maybe, and that's my understanding, that's what I'm saying. We need to go back to the actual meeting to see what was discussed, to make sure that's 100% clear. Cause
And then
I thought
that's what it
suspend
said,
all,
suspend
we're just
consideration.
gonna pause.
Yeah.
Until, and there's stuff that was finished up, it was already in progress, and that's fine.
Yep.
But I thought there was a pause, but if there wasn't,
And that's-
what
I
it
just wanna be
says. It
clear
does
on
say
that.
suspend the consideration of the work order 4 and expenditures.
Right, which you all did. We did
But
not talk about work order 4. We
But
tabled it or
Dick's Height is
whatever.
interpreting that, with suspending work, that there is to be no work on the work order 3 as well.
That's not
That
true.
was not.
No.
No, I had the conversation with Hannah. They're currently working on work order 3. They've already been paid for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I wanted
Yeah.
to.
They've already
understand.
been paid for the work. So they're working up to work order 3. My conversation with Hannah was work order 4 and also the meeting of revising the master agreement. I said we need to hold off on that until the board gives us further direction, but they are currently working on work order 3 and they've been paid for it.
So my my ask in your review, and I think we should just table the minutes for now until you can go back and have Brenda take a look at them again. My consternation is with the words "or work," because we were not suspending all work, we were suspending any future cost incurrences.
I don't know. Our interpretation of Jack's motion was we are suspending all work and cost in relation to the master plan. So that's how we took it with going up to work order 3. Work order 4 was on that agenda. And we did not authorize work order 4. So if you guys want to rescind it.
Minutes can be, we'll have to talk about that, because I don't know.
Yeah.
administratively
Yeah,
how we
why
do
don't,
it.
yeah, we table the minutes until Brenda can come back, but if the board wants to talk about this and clarify it, we can do that as a separate agenda item.
Yeah, I mean, that's an
But
agenda
I
item
don't-
already on here.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't know if you want to wait until next thing. I mean,
No, we'll clarify it today.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah, you
it's
can
Jack's
clarify.
motion. He knows what he
Yeah.
made. It's his motion. If we put it in wrong, or had the wrong perspective on it, then.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it comes down to. And then we can change it accordingly, however.
So we
Yeah,
want to
was it
discuss
your
this later
motion?
then?
So we're just,
Yeah,
There's
Brenda,
no-
did you read it? Is that what you thought you made some motion of?
Yeah, it's the motion on the bottom of page 8.
Yeah, 13 on the top.
Maybe the and.
And if that isn't what your what your intent was, then we can rescind that and change it all together.
well, and Angel, I'm gonna pause for a second while he's reading that. He made a motion and then there was discussion and then there were amendments. And then when you reread the motion, if you watch the video, it's a little bit different than what Jack said. So I appreciate what Jack's intent may have been initially at the outset, but the final vote was not necessarily what Jack had said at the beginning and what his intent was, because there was about 20
Well,
minutes of dialogue.
He's gonna clarify right now.
Well, but it's not what his intent was. It's what we voted on, which I think may be two different things. I
think
do
the
respect to
easy
Jack.
thing
This
is,
is not something. to
What
leave
did you
Jack.
vote? What was the intent for your vote? Was
Oh, I
to
thought, no.
Oh, so what was the intent of your vote?
Well, the whole point of it was in my opinion, was to suspend all until we could find out what was going on with
All
Crow
what?
on everything. Like, for example, we already had the information from what the Civic Corridor and all the other people, all the prices were on that. We knew that we're gonna finish this site, which to that number 3, that's what we did, right?
Yes, they are working
And-
on number 3.
And so there was a lot of stuff going on to where Jack said, listen, we need to find out where Crow is and all this. That was the heart of the whole reason why this actually came up. It wasn't to stop going to 4 or anything else or any other expenditure and stuff. It was the fact that we didn't know what was going on with Crow. They were not gonna go ahead and have the actual meeting with MPEG till September. From we're understanding, and they weren't at that point not gonna be able, they would have to digest it and then meet with us in October. So there was a month and a half pause, so to speak, because when that joint meeting happens, that will then have the action back on us on what we wanna go ahead, we wanna keep hitting this. So what we'll go ahead and do, right? That was my understanding,
That's
so when
my
I said
intention, 'cause
Ben,
Crow provide us no information. We have no support from Crow. We have no idea what they're doing or thinking. And they didn't even honor their own impact committee by attending the committee.
but
So I just want to say, come to us. I'm willing to go forward with this, but I need to know where we stand, what we have that's concrete in hand, and what we can do.
correct, but I do wanna go back to what.
But work order 4 was to actually have a joint meeting, which wasn't there.
So, but I do think as a point of like order, so to speak, and process. To what Greg says is what the motion actually says. Okay, it has to go back to what it actually said in the meeting. That's the motion that was put on the floor and that's the meeting that was voted on. You agree that it's different when we say, well, everyone had it, well, yes, but whatever we voted on, what it says in words, that's what we voted on.
Well, per the minutes, there is an exceedingly broad term that all expenditures and work for master planning
Yep.
is suspended.
That is correct.
That is so broad, we cannot engage Jan to ask any questions about the appraisal that we got, or engage Mark to talk about any of the vacant parcels that are under consideration. for
So is that
So why
something?
is that a problem? Why is that a problem?
Because we've already
Because we
authorized.
need that pause, because we don't know what Crow is doing at all. I think someone mentioned the heart of Crow, they wanted to know where Crow was. Why is that a problem if they can't work on it until we get information from Crow?
It's
Why do
complete.
we have to go ahead on something we're not even sure
What's,
about what's going to happen? We're
what's
spending
hanging
money
in
for
works that
what?
we have to know about?
Is that?
What's hanging?
Tom, can I
Yeah.
make a suggestion? Right now, we're just on the consent agenda for the meeting minutes for last meeting. My suggestion is we pull the minutes, we table them until next meeting. If we want to
Yep.
do a motion and a discussion on clarification, or if we want a new vote or something tonight, we can do that under new business. But for right now, it's just on what the meeting minutes were last meeting, and I don't think they're correct.
Yeah, that, and I think we have, that's what I'm saying. I think we have to go ahead and relook at that, rehear it, or whatever.
Yes. Maybe, yeah.
That's fine.
But if it's accurate and if it's broad, that is what we voted on.
Yes, it has to be word for word.
You
what the
see what I'm
motion
saying?
was.
I mean,
Yes.
I understand what you're saying, it's too
Mhm.
broad, but if that's what we voted
But
on,
that's what we
That's
voted
it.
on, so
Yeah.
it's okay.
we'll do that. So
And
let's table.
according to my notes, that's the motion. Now granted, it's not verbatim what the thing was. Brenda, while we're doing this, can you pull that audio, that section, and let's see exactly the motion that I read?
Oh, that, sure, but if I can offer, here's how I do the minutes. You make a motion and there is a second. You have all kinds of discussion, but when you get down to a vote, if no one amended that original motion,
Correct.
I don't change it. So
Correct.
you may have discussed a bunch of different things, but
Mhm.
whatever that original motion, that's just, I'm telling you my protocol. Whatever your original motion is, that's
and
what
that
I
is
show
correct.
as being voted.
Well, and I appreciate that, and that is the correct process. The problem is, and it's my fault of moderating the meeting, as I went through the video, as amendments in the language were coming, and we were tweaking this because Dave and I were asking questions, everybody else was saying things. When Angel reread the motion for the vote, it was different than what was initially discussed.
But
But I asked if that's the motion that you all wanted to
Right.
you
to
make
vote
sure.
on.
Mhm.
So again, Brenda, if you can just
Yeah,
confirm
let's just
what the motion was.
Yeah, let's approve without the minutes, and then if
Okay.
you can do it, we'll finish at the end of the
Okay.
meeting. If
Okay.
not, we'll-
That's
Okay.
Perfect.
I had a completely different correction to make, but Brenda's already got that. So
Yeah.
okay. Let's move on to B,
Wait,
financial statement.
We
You
still
need
need a
to call
motion
the
on the
vote.
rest of the consent.
Oh, do we still have the rest of the agenda? Oh, I thought we're just talking about.
with the exception of the
Okay.
minutes.
So
Whoever made a motion, will you revise the motion?
I
Jack,
did. So with the exception of those minutes, move to approve and we'll table those other minutes.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then,
And then,
all right.
oh my gosh, I'm exhausted already. Oh, this is a good 30 minutes. Financial statements.
We
That's
just
it.
don't know that.
did
That's
that.
all, the whole thing is all that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tells me I haven't run a meeting in a while. Rulemaking hearings, sidewalks and other district property.
Yes, we've
Mhm.
talked about this one quite a bit. This would be adopting the rule by resolution 2024-13. This is the rule, if you want to use district sidewalks, you submit a notice and then you'd be responsible for paying for repairs.
Desperately need
Yes,
that.
this has had a couple things, edits and comments from the prior meetings. And so we need to open a public hearing. And we need a motion to open the public hearing.
I move to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
All in
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Anyone in the public like to comment?
Public.
Nope.
Okay, we can close the public hearing.
Oh, it's closed.
Okay.
Do we have the
Tom,
motion?
second.
Second.
Okay,
Cassandra.
I don't know.
I don't.
All in favor?
I just
Aye.
asked that.
All right.
Aye.
Then it's all the changes we did. Nothing's
Yes,
changed.
nothing has
Nothing
changed.
changed.
The last
Okay.
meeting. Perfect. So
All right, so
motion-
now we have the resolution.
Yes.
Yep.
Motion to adopt resolution 2024-13, adopting the rule governing sidewalks, alleys, and district property.
I so moved.
Second.
I do have one discussion item.
Yep.
I would like to amend the fee schedule. We have commercial lots serving as a business and non-residential businesses as two separate line items with two separate costs.
Yeah, we talked about that.
We
already
we
fixed it.
fixed that. Commercial lots and non-residential business are,
That's the home business district, correct?
commercial lots serving as a business are 500, non-residential business including churches and schools are 1,000.
1,000.
Yeah, that's exhibit B.
Yeah, we had changed that already.
Changed it from what? Because I'm now I'm trying to understand why they're two separate costs. But why would I charge a church twice as much as I charge a for-profit business?
No, it's non-residential business,
Includes
I-
churches.
Schools,
but it's a non-residential use which is all the commercial, whether you're Lexington or on the boulevard or anything, that's that bucket.
so
My understanding is the second line item of commercial lot serving as a business is simply the home business district, which are the homes.
should we put
Looking homes.
residential commercial lots or commercial home business, clarify that?
Well, it should conform with the PD, which I think calls those the home business.
Yes, it's home business district.
Well, and it's a little confusing too, because in the first two, we talk about the lots as a property, and then we start talking about businesses as what's on the land. So that's where wasn't sure if there was some differentiation. I have a problem with us charging a school or a church twice as much as one of the for-profits.
It's intended to be the home business district lots for 500.
And what was 1,000?
Any
business.
non-residential business,
Any
So that
non-residential
would
business. That would include,
The church.
churches and
right,
schools.
because that's any non-residential business. Church is not
Right there,
residence.
but run business.
And the assumption is they're bigger than a lot, so there's a potential for more damage.
Mhm.
Which we've seen.
Yes.
So yeah, churches and schools are big, so we do want to charge more.
Now that Jamie explained it like that.
So the commercial lots, I'm sorry, those are, give me an example of one. I'm not sure I'm clear what the intent was.
Changing that to home business district lot to be more clear.
But it's not a fee, this is a deposit.
Yeah, it's just a
Mhm.
deposit.
Deposit.
Home business district. So if somebody is working a business out of their home,
No.
No.
No, it's the home business
It's,
district.
it's like the I.
It is a geographic
I
designation.
It's just like
You
it
know?
envisioned down there
Yeah,
at Celebration Avenue.
That area is all home
Lives
business.
Above
Okay.
the bit.
It's an actual neighborhood.
so that we're not unclear on this, I just would prefer some clarification on the language, however we want to word that, so it's not fuzzy.
Dave suggested home business district lots.
The home business district lots is consistent with the county and with Chrome.
Okay.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Interject real quick, so $1,000 for a deposit.
Mhm.
And let's say they mess up $5,000 with concrete, which has happened before.
Well, that doesn't mean we don't go after
We
them.
get to go
Then
after.
they owe you
Okay.
$4,000.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that they're, I mean,
Okay.
Alright.
that's a deal for them. That doesn't work that way. That's just a deposit.
Okay.
Any other
Second
discussion?
after you, Russ.
So,
So
Yeah.
amending the resolution to make that change to the title of the home business district lots.
With that amendment, I move to approve the resolution.
Well, and sorry, I would, one other, and I know we did bring this up before, I will bring it up again just to put it on the record. I think we need to have some sort of penalty or fee if somebody refuses or fails to do the registration. Because right now, the way we have this structured, if people just ignore this, there's no penalty for that. There's no recourse for us to go after somebody who says, I'm just not going to do the application. The people who actually adhere to it are having to put down anywhere from $250 to $1,500.
We don't have,
That's a public noticing.
yeah, it's gonna be a matter of public notice. We can put in the record this, we can post it. We don't have the ability to fine people other than for late payments and things. So I'm not sure how we would
No,
put a penalty in there.
really, after we approve this, it's making sure that we get this. And we have a good relationship now with PROA doing their email blasts where we can get this out on several iterations of their weekly.
Listen, Dave, I'm fully hoping 98% of people in town will adhere to this because it's the rule. I'm worried about the 2%, and whether you want to call it a fine or an administrative fee because we have to backtrack somebody who decided not to follow this. I'm not so much worried if we want to look at grace periods or whatever for people who just didn't know. I'm worried about the person who just clearly chose not to do it.
But I don't think we have a way to actually collect those fines.
Correct.
We don't have an
That's-
enforcement.
Yeah, there isn't an enforcement
Enforcement.
mechanism. I'd suggest
Yeah.
adopt it as is, and we can try to see what else we can do to see if there
If
is
they
something
come
we
up.
can do.
Can you do a special assessment on them or anything?
would
Take a
just-
public hearing and notice. It's an expensive process, and we have to look to see whether it was worth including in the rule or not.
Yeah.
And I'd
I would
suggest-
just call it an administrative fee. I mean, there's absolutely going to be a cost
Yeah.
with us finding these
Yeah.
people.
We
do
don't
that.
have the authority to do that.
If we can't do it, we can't do it. I just,
Well, this is just, this is, better than what we got.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, and I brought something up before that I wanted to charge a fee, and it was, I know we looked
Exactly.
every which way for other things, like, forget it, so I'm like.
All
All right,
right,
motion on
so,
the table.
and that was just change the language.
Yes.
The,
Put that-
the heading,
Do I have a second?
Yes.
yes, it's
Second.
Jack and then Cassandra.
All right,
Oh,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay,
Sorry, Greg, I keep forgetting you're like on a 1 second delay, so make sure I hear you. Okay, number 8, rulemaking hearing regarding memorials and donations.
and this is where one of Dave's questions came in, at the last meeting, the gentleman said, can't we donate dog stations to you all? So this is, part of that is encompassing, the donations,
This-
about taking on dog stations or money.
So do you want to hold off and add donations to this?
If the board's open to it, they brought up at the last meeting, because there was a question that came up, Jan, about putting dog stations in Island Village, and they said, well, we have funds in some sort of fund, whatever.
We can,
Yeah.
Our committee had
we
it.
can accept donations. We can modify the rule to add that. I knew we were asked if we could do it. Yes, we could.
Do we accept, so when you say a donation, does that mean a dollar amount, or does that mean actually?
Dog station.
Either way.
Either way.
We can do either way as long as we have a, a rules or policy for how we're going to do it and what the requirement is.
Go ahead.
And we have the ability to reject any donation we don't deem.
That's why it's nice to have a rule, so it's set forth exactly that it would be the specs of the district and would match others, and the district purchase it in accordance with, or they
Yes.
purchase it in accordance with whatever design has been previously approved.
Thank you.
One last question. So
Sure.
for something like this, the district has final determination on the use of the donation, placement, this, that, whatever. Obviously,
Yeah.
the dog park isn't
That's
gonna,
why we would do a rule to basically say if you wanna donate, and I would limit the categories, so it's, memorial benches, dog stations, if you've got some other ideas. And then that the donations made to the district, or that they purchase it, but the district does the actual purchasing of exactly where it is, makes the final determination of where it goes, just like we have here for the benches.
Yeah, the language is
think
pretty, or I would do as well,
one-
have the donations in there.
it's fine.
One thing we want to make sure, it was brought up too, well, can we collect money for you replacing a boardwalk? And that's
Yeah.
maintenance, and we
Yeah,
can't do that.
Yeah, we talked about that. We don't wanna collect money for routine.
That's gonna get
maintenance.
messy.
Yeah, that there's all kinds of liability that we did not maintain to the standard we should, et cetera.
Okay,
So do we wanna hold off on this hearing, move it? I
I
guess
think
we,
we need to, until next month when we get a full language put back in it. The
What-
donation.
can we add that language in now and have them, approve it in substantial form? Or not
It's a
during the
different-
hearing?
Let's
Yeah.
wait.
we will have to notice it
Let's-
again.
Because you're gonna have to notice
Yeah.
it again, that's why.
That's okay. We'll notice it
Okay,
again. We'll get the same.
Okay.
premise.
We'll look at that. We'll
So no
redo that.
action.
Okay.
Right.
Can we just continue this hearing until next month?
Kind of, but we're changing the actual items in it. I'm not sure. if that
No,
would be-
That's fine. We'll just do no action.
We'll do no action. We'll look at it in September and then adopt in
Okay.
November.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Business matters. Meeting schedule for year 2025. That's a good question.
Yeah, so essentially, it's left the same as what you've currently been doing. If you want to add some in there, we can absolutely do that, which would be beneficial to you for advertising monies. So we can advertise it once, and if we cancel it or don't have that particular meeting, it's not gonna make a difference. So
I kind of like how we've been doing it this year where we just call workshops where we need to. We used to have it that we had a quarterly workshop and sometimes we just didn't need to talk about stuff. Other times we needed it more frequently. I'd much rather call them as we need. It's just my preference.
Well, we already know we always have a budget workshop. That's not reflected in here.
No, you always have, a couple. We have one in, March and
In April.
April, and then you approve in May.
And this year I think we had one as early as February, but I think to the point, Dave, I mean, I'd like to leave it at the discretion of the board members at that time. Hey, if there are schedule conflicts or whatever else, I don't know why I get it. We get to save a little bit of money, but I'd much rather just have that board be able to choose the dates for the workshops.
We don't have a workshop on September 10th.
Yeah, the workshop there was to talk about you all asked for one in September to talk about the Infomart contract.
Conflict.
That's fine. It's whatever the board wants to do. The only purpose of advertising them all in a year in advance is to save you some money. It's not a huge deal breaker or break the bank. So
It does help keep calendars open if you've got it on.
Correct.
Correct.
if it's on there for the year.
Like, there's no downside to putting it. We can always cancel or remove it.
Yeah, no,
I
if
agree.
you don't want to hold them, we can
I'll-
absolutely.
If we can add the second Tuesday in March and April to it.
Second Tuesday, okay,
March and April.
6 p.m.
Yep.
Okay. Second Tuesday in March, second Tuesday in April.
This March.
For
11th.
workshops or meetings?
Workshops, budget workshops. And they're 6 p.m. And again, if we get up to that date and you don't want to hold it, that's totally fine. And then if you want to change it, that's totally fine too. Either way.
Motion to approve
Please,
as amended?
As amended,
as amended. Yeah, so motion to approve as amended.
So
Second.
Okay.
Well, see, you say second. I think you're second.
I didn't. I'm questioning you.
you had second question mark on it.
Yes, see, Jack understands this stuff.
Who's on first?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right.
Resolution 2024-15, setting a rulemaking hearing to implement towing.
4 rules. This is the no parking and towing for the one alley that was of concern. We did have a public comment about the dual wheel trucks, and we did have a when we noticed after we sent it out, we had the address incorrect for Infomart, so we did fix that. This is a pretty standard restriction. We took out a lot of the stuff that communities have where they have throughout their community, no parking in front of homes and all, so we tried to limit it. On the dual wheel trucks, Florida statute says anything over 26,000 pounds or 3 axles would be a commercial. So we could make that change in compliance.
But that's only on like alleyways.
This is just the one alleyway at this point.
Your long view.
I saw more broad knowledge though somewhere that says within, under the resolution itself, adoption of the rule for governing parking standards in the district alleys.
The list and map of the alleys are in exhibit A, and we only have one alley, which we need to kind of circle that to make sure we know which alley it is.
Color version shows it. Oh, yeah.
Nothing.
I mean, we can think about this, that we can actually advertise it with the other one next month, but if you want to think about
Thank you.
Well,
any other alleys that.
I was
may be
done
there.
thinking, I'm wondering why we just don't say that about every alley, why?
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with doing this just for one alley. It'll never get enforced, and a year from now, nobody will remember why we picked one alley but not the other 100.
So,
Actually, green space. That's
and-
getting out of it, correct?
and I don't, I don't have a
If you want
problem.
to take 2 minutes, look at the paperwork I gave you.
Hold on.
Oh, the one,
Go with the pictures. Right,
Was this Longview?
No, this is Green Square and Artisan Park.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen anything like this on Longview though, and that's the one.
Oh, yeah.
that
I
was
see it all.
Rule, really?
So Saturday, the picture.
Okay.
So here's my comment. Oh my God, look at this.
Wow.
Look at that.
Probably gonna be over $1,000 in it.
Yeah.
That's at least,
Well,
at least.
damage to.
This is ridiculous.
Our.
Our property,
Well, maybe we should
Who's doing
look
this?
at putting up some maps and
Rika?
really explaining this.
Rika's doing this?
Wow.
Yeah.
I got a hold of them, they said they would get right on it, this was the next day, was 3 times as bad as what it was.
So,
Thursday I went there.
so when we talk about the towing and
For towing,
and the sidewalks, I think as a board, we need to do a better job because we gave direction, to do something, and now we're like, oh, we should include everything. We probably should have discussed that and paid attention forward, because we're extending another round of waste because we didn't do it right the first time. And that's just my opinion. I think that's what we're doing.
It's part of our learning process. We didn't realize we had this.
I know that, but this is like the second one, so maybe we should ask
Yeah, well,
we've been talking about
a few
this
more
for-
questions until we're, and I'm just guilty because I'm the one that said,
Well,
on the outside.
I'll defer to Russ because he knows.
Yeah, and the issue
area.
is, if we're gonna do towing, we have to put up signs. So the signs can be at the entrance to the community, since we have a varied number of entrances, but we would have to put a sign that no parking areas would be towed. So that was why the initial conversation of the alley made it fairly easy, because you can put a sign at the beginning and end of a single alley. If it's throughout the community, would need signs at the entrances.
And the alleys too, or?
No, we-
oh, just
you
the-
can have
every entrance to the
Okay.
community.
But Tom, remember too, I mean, what initially brought this up, there was the conversation in Longview Alley, but I brought up 3 months ago, our parking lot back behind Stetson, where I called Russ
know.
one Friday afternoon, picking up the kids. Somebody had an oversized boat parked in there that we ended up, so this had other applicability and was starting at other places and kind of morphed into something else.
No, I agree, and I've seen areas starting to get damaged and people just using everything.
Russ, I got a question. We talked about sidewalks, but did this payloader damage the alley at all?
Well, I won't even know until they're done.
I mean, because this is another issue, just if you're gonna damage our sidewalks, yeah, if you're
All
gonna
the
damage our
grass
alleys
over up,
too.
I mean, part of the conservation area, he's made a path completely through the conservation.
Oh, my gosh.
Wait, what?
Well, that,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty bad.
if you
Oh,
go
if-
through the conservation area, we can get fined.
It was,
No.
He's made a path
Oh,
into
it's
it.
not our, well, that's not our well,
Oh,
I think it's
I don't think it is, it would be,
It's ours.
it'd be Reedy Creek, Reedy Creek.
It's our property.
It's our property back there. I'm not sure if it's conservation though.
I think it's a split, Reedy Creek
So,
and ours.
are they doing illegal dumping back there?
I don't know.
mean,
I
right
think they
now,
wure just trying to store materials back there,
all
Tom,
the
because
stuff they're storing there.
They're gonna have to store it.
Well, that's right.
When I was there first, real quick, because there was 2 vehicles. I went there the next day, there's 10 or 12 vehicles parked all the way to Wild Drive.
That is horrible for every single resident.
And they've made a path
I've
now into
actually
the
talked to
conservation.
the owner and said ultimately, and I hope I wasn't talking out of context, you're gonna be responsible to get all that fixed.
100%.
Hired
I think we should make.
this, but I also
Yeah,
showed
I think
him,
so.
It's, I mean, I
I
would
think
say
we gotta
lawyer
do it
letter,
now,
yeah,
since we
lawyer
got a letter
saying,
now.
remove yourself and
Yeah.
don't leave.
Yes, I think so.
Responsible for that.
well, I mean, they said they were gonna, this was the builder. And
That
they
isn't-
clearly
Well,
just
that's,
went,
send something.
Yeah, but this email doesn't
Mhm.
reflect what's actually happening,
Let it come
they
from
haven't moved
Jan.
No, they
no,
haven't.
it was worse the next day.
Mhm.
so I think it needs to come from Jim.
So maybe the,
Jan will write a letter, we'll get it
next
out.
month or something, we can kind of,
She's gonna write a letter now, we'll get
I
it.
know,
to
we
the
talk
resident.
about the whole parking and this, that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, see, that's not conservation, that's just undeveloped. That's weird.
I say conservation,
Yeah.
green space that doesn't get touched or mowed or anything.
That's a big part.
Yeah, that's all.
Russ,
Mhm.
did you write this letter?
And there's a path in there probably
Because the
now.
dollar figure is missing the
4 or 5 feet wide and
Mhm.
long.
Wow.
Say that again, Jack?
It says to impose a civil penalty of up to $0.00 dollars. Well,
Yeah,
it's missing a dollar figure.
It's their bottom of the email, the contract.
It's their signature.
So how would
Okay,
somebody?
so-
Oh, it's their signature, yeah, that's not Russ's.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so,
Okay, so Jan,
Okay,
you on
so
that
we'll
one?
handle that one. Do you all wanna look at the idea and think about which alleys and all and let us know and we'll
I,
circulate it?
I think we have two choices. One, we're gonna select particular alleys, or we're gonna do all alleys.
I think the ball.
I would,
I think it's all,
I think it's all, I don't think, when you start picking,
Right.
we're gonna miss one, it's just all,
Now, just so you know,
yes.
if you say all alleys, that's not the green space in this picture. The alley is the right of way that's
Yeah.
paved,
Right,
Correct.
Right.
so they can park.
We said in here, we said including walkways and landscaped areas.
Grass landscape.
there'd be adjacent tracks.
You might want to be green space,
Okay.
adjacent tracks, anything on
Like,
CDD
yeah, might
property.
wanna add the wording to cover those areas.
Yes, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is where we can be
Specific.
real broad about. saying it's good.
But not all PDD properties, since there's some ways to deal with that.
so I did have a couple things then as amendments. On item L, as in Lima, we say that they can leave an abandoned or inoperable vehicle there up to 72 hours. I don't think that should be the case at all. If there's an abandoned or an inoperable vehicle, they can't leave it in blocking an alleyway or partially in an alleyway for 72. They need to get rid of it. If we see a vehicle that's in an alleyway blocking it, we should be towing it.
So you want
Fire.
20
What if there was an accident
department,
and
your car broke.
Yeah,
or
your
flat
car
tire,
broke.
you
I
need to
mean,
pay.
when someone hit our car, it was
If-
parked, it
Put a
was
sign-
there for.
if-
Put the sign on the car with the phone.
If there's an accident,
Um,
if there's an accident and the police are called, they're gonna tow it out.
Hopefully they would move
Wait,
it.
wait,
Guys, hold
hold
on.
on a second.
Guys,
I'm
Greg
sorry.
was talking. I got three
Yeah,
words.
if,
Okay.
if there's an accident in a public roadway for the county, the police are gonna show up and they're gonna tow that vehicle to get it out of a roadway. I don't see our alleyways as any different. They are public access ways. That if there's an accident or you had something wrong with your vehicle, it needs to get moved immediately.
Put it to the side.
Nobody, if somebody, because our alleys are one way, and if I get to my alley and it's blocked by a car that's inoperable with just a sticker on it, I expect that thing to move in and out.
It doesn't say that it's blocking. You can't
Mhm.
block the alley. This just says that it's there.
Well, if the way our alleys are configured, they're so narrow, if a vehicle is in any way in the alley, it's gonna block the alley. Even if it's a quarter of the way in, I'm not gonna be able to get around it. These are so narrow.
Yeah. This makes
Okay.
sense in the parking
Okay.
lot.
Okay.
And that was my,
Yeah,
Jan, I would, right where it says district's alley, put the period there and delete the rest of the sentence.
Okay.
and that was gonna be my second comment was I don't see where this addresses our parking lot that we own back behind Stetson, which was my original intent of mentioning this. This somehow morphed into just the alleys.
That's gotta be treated differently.
Yeah, we
And-
can have that. I mean, we only have the one parking lot.
yes,
There's no other parking
Yeah.
lots.
that's what Greg's house.
Well, I mean, what if we have a future parking lot, so. You know. We do have a, we could have a parcel next to the school is what I'm getting at.
You guys, just to
Well,
Tom's
again,
point, just so we're giving them clear guidance, I mean, my intent on the parking lot one, and let's discuss it
You're
now,
not
so
right.
we can shape it, is there shouldn't be, I don't think any overnight parking, well, I don't know, I mean, you got residents parking back there at the condos back behind Stetson. I mean, how do we want to handle that? Do we just want to say no trailers and no commercial items in there like the,
I think that's the. You know, there's one thing when you have vehicles in there, vehicles are, cars and regular trucks. But I don't wanna have in those, it's like RVs, vans, people
boat
staying in
trailers?
cars. Can't have that.
Somewhere to sleep.
Well, I know, but you can't have that, right? I mean, they even tow it at water tower. So I'm trying to say, this parking is one thing. I just don't wanna have a situation, if we're gonna do the rules, let's do them completely.
So what, generally speaking, then what's our intent on the parking lot so that Jan can go write something?
I think the parking lot is intended for period of time parking, temporary parking, where you park you do whatever it is, and you're just not gonna leave it there all day, right? I don't think it's permanent parking.
But
No
was there
overnight?
any implicit or explicit, I guess, understanding that the condos, the Carlisle, would be able to utilize that for parking?
Yeah, ask Carlisle, I know what their answer is gonna be.
Right, but I don't think, I think that's always been public parking.
No, they're public.
I mean, can RVs be there during the day if somebody shows up to go shopping or lunch?
Yeah, that's what it's there
So
for.
just no, basically no overnight parking,
Yeah,
like say
I-
10 to 6.
Yeah, look, again, if there was a car parked every night there, and it was just the car parked, and the parking lot's empty, it's not impacting things. You have 50, 60 cars parked overnight, now we got a problem. So the
So
rules
then-
either go one way or the other, because I know how these things are written.
Yeah, I would stick with the same 10 to 6, or do you want to make it later since it's downtown at night to 6 a.m.?
Well, Jan, there are residents that are parking there, who have been parking there for 10, 15, 20 years since the condos have been there. So I'm not sure, it's not my intent to take away their ability to park there just as open parking. My objective was to get out what Tom was saying before, the trailers, the commercial stuff where people happen to be leaving things there. You know, I don't know if there's general language we can say a vehicle that's clearly abandoned. I don't know what that means, but
Okay, we can have a no RVs or commercial vehicles parked overnight and then add in the abandoned and. Okay, we can just come up with a separate
Cause
section
you don't
for
wanna
that.
take away their parking.
No, I don't think that's the intent.
Right.
I just don't want people to be living in the parking.
Okay, we'll come up with that and Russ.
Or like
help me think of
boats
something.
or RVs or really big, or there's some
Yeah,
places
one
people
right
put
at
commercial
the
vehicles that are stored
Yeah,
overnight.
parking lot.
No,
It'd be like no non-residential
It's
overnight.
the
parking
towing
or something.
company, we'll have to enter into a contract with the
Yeah.
towing company. Of the signs that are required by statute. We'll just need to figure out the locations. Okay, we'll get that, and we'll try to get it to you so you can look at it before the next meeting.
That would help me out.
Okay.
But I never
Jan,
gonna
is
ask. Go
Jan,
ahead.
is that towing company part of the resolution or that's just something separately we just have?
That is a separate contract. We're supposed to use whoever the county contracts with, but Osceola County apparently doesn't have a contract with a towing company. So
Got
we
it.
can get, we can get a
all on us.
couple names that we use around Osceola County.
We are. They tell me that every time.
And I also do agree with Gary Hudspeth's comment before, if we want to incorporate his change.
Yeah, I'll change it to the three
Yeah, it's clear.
axles. Three
It's clear and
axles.
consistent. Okay,
So that's tabled.
that's tabled, and we'll move on to your favorite. C, roof assessment report.
Yes, so, they came out, this is the engineering report. As you can see, I mean, it comes down to two things. You either need a new roof because it's design, and I don't think it's, from my understanding from talking to him, it's not a faulty design per se, but it's just the design of putting dormers on, they're going to leak. And then the repairs just haven't been made, according to him, adequately.
But it may not be a faulty design, but I think it's a faulty execution because there's no underlayment up there at all,
Mhm.
which.
I don't have the original
Should've been there.
contract to where I could, you know what I mean?
I guess my question is, in evaluating this, is what did they say it's gonna cost to do the repairs versus a new roof?
That wasn't something that they were tasked with. I can look into metal roofs to see what that's gonna cost. I think essentially it comes down to Jan with any sort of, not, I mean,
Just
just,
what I do.
just options
You're
of,
paying for
of
it.
where you're, what are your options today?
Yeah, I
Bas-
think,
This is what we've been waiting on. You've got it now, so.
yeah, no, I think we need to come up with the scope from this report and I'm gonna look at Mark a little bit for that or Angel. We just need to come up with the scope from this and then request a couple proposals and perhaps even ask them to proof the scope and make sure we had it accurate for. a
Wonder if
new
I could
roof
ask
versus
him for a scope.
We could do a
He'll-
scope for a new
To
roof.
help with that.
He will, okay. So
Well-
Carrie knows him,
So,
Oh,
I'm
so,
gonna speak for Jack. So how do we go ahead and figure out, or can we go back to the original roofer?
So that's done, no indemnification for anything.
no, we are well past
All right,
any
so it's-
statute and
It's an outright cost, we either do the whole 9 yards or you.
Well, but with the roof, there's no partial fixing with roofs.
I agree
Once,
with
once you
you.
have leaks, you have a question on whether you're gonna re-roof with dormers or re-roof without dormers. That's really.
That's
what's gonna
essentially what
come
it
down
comes
to.
down to.
And
Which
I
way
just
do you
don't
wanna
want
go?
another 851.
Cause it's gonna
Gotta-
continue to
gotta-
leak, no matter what repairs they do. He essentially said around those dormers, it's just, no matter what repairs are done, it's gonna continue to leak.
Are those dormers just sat on top of the roof or are they actually functional? Can you
No,
look out through them and anything?
No,
You
there's a
can
decorative.
look
you can look
out
at,
through them.
yeah, but there's
the ones
nothing
that are
there.
gone.
It's dead space.
So if we re-roofed it, would we have to get TCC's approval?
I thought they've already.
Well, it is an
withdrew.
architectural change, so the short answer is yes.
Well, how many months is that gonna take?
Well, by any
Maybe we
indication,
should start now.
Well, I thought didn't they withdraw from Canoa and all this other stuff?
Yes.
Are they still
They
in?
have an
But they've got, still got rights in the PUD.
I don't think they ever relinquished the architect.
Okay,
Well, this is an area that they don't even see, so.
Yeah, I don't think this would be a problem. Scheme of.
I don't think it would be, but,
I would go for no dormers on the roof.
All right.
Yeah.
Don't mess your roof
But-
up.
all right, so
Hold on.
Dave's got some.
Yeah, which is, I agree with you, but the thing is, knowing that it would take architectural approval, we're gonna be stuck for 6 months waiting for that while it continues to leak. Whereas.
We've already done that.
And like-
Well, here's the thing though. It is possible to have dormers that don't leak. So you see them all over town. Not every dormer in town is leaking. So that brings me to the conclusion that it was an installation problem. So that's one item that whoever installed it, we should be going after for a poor installation job. I don't know if that gives us enough ammunition for that. but-
We,
Well, the roof,
we investigated this 2 years ago, and we were past the statute of limitations.
roof's 9 years old.
They've come and,
Well,
Is it 9?
hold on, if it's not, I thought 10 years for structural defects.
I don't think installation of a roof is a structural defect. Structural defect would be the plans that designed it.
No,
I think that's what we're talking about, aren't we? Are they defective plans?
There's a 10-year statute of limitations for a lot of building material.
All right, I'll go back. I checked with our litigation
Construction.
folks. We can go back, I'll go back to the construction litigators, but
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think you're gonna get very far. They filed an insurance claim, but I mean, they've come back and repaired it a number of times based on whatever they installed, that we don't have the original specs or diagrams to say you were supposed to do it this way.
yeah, I don't know. We can look again to see if we have the original, because I don't know if they required an underlayment or they didn't. I have no
Okay,
idea.
well,
You
but
know,
you could always go after the architect also if they failed to put the required, I say required. quotes,
I don't-
but
yeah.
If they didn't put the right detail to prevent leaks and the contractor just did
Yeah.
it per plan, that's different.
We don't know what the plan was.
nope. Can dig around and see.
I think the county keeps plans for 10 years.
Yeah,
Isn't it over 10 years?
I don't
It
know.
was built in 2015.
This building was,
2016.
I thought it was 13, okay.
13.
and I'll look in all of our
Well,
stuff
let's-
and
let's-
see what we
let's-
have.
let's-
No, it was closer to 2016, yes.
Now that we have digital copies of everything from upstairs in the attic, hopefully we've got some design plans for the building in there.
I know you looked 2 years ago when this first came up,
Yeah.
and then we didn't find anything.
Okay,
I'll follow up with you.
Mark, I'm curious, to the extent you're a roof guy or you have an opinion here, did you look at this? Do you have any
He's not a
thoughts?
Civil guy.
The civil guy.
Okay, he's closer to an
Yeah.
engineer than any of the rest of us. I'd like to hear Mark's thoughts if he's got any.
Yeah, I read through the report, somewhat quickly without spending too much time on it, but the underlayment under any roof, in my opinion, that doesn't really do a lot. I think it was really just the connections of those dormers at those 90-degree angles and waterproofing those and bringing up what do you call it, the flashing, up far enough and sealing it off in all the corners where they're putting the pieces of metal together. That's what it looked like to me. And they showed those pictures of people previously trying to caulk them tight and still leaking. So not sure if they didn't caulk it properly or they used the wrong type of caulk that dries up and shrinks in the sun, probably gets pretty hot up there. Let's usually use like tar or
I know when they, like my house, but
They use some kind of less generic. So
shingles will use tar on the roof metal, they might use something else unless they
Okay.
just squish it underneath.
So bottom line is, we need a new roof. I don't recommend wiping out the dormers, because there exists a method by which dormers don't leak. We just need to ensure that we have the plans and the contractor that they would.
I would look at seeing dormers and without dormers and see the price differential.
Well, you have to demo the
Yeah,
dormers,
I think that's gonna be inexpensive.
that would be more.
you have to wipe them out.
Okay. Okay,
There's a waiting period for architectural review.
Yes.
But there isn't any replace the roof. With the dormers.
My recommendation, guys, so question for Jan and then my thoughts. Jan, if there is some still liability or way under the statute of limitations for us to go after whoever we might go after, whether it's architect or installer or whatever, is there any reason we shouldn't move forward with going ahead and starting to get an engineer and actually doing design stuff and a fix? We don't have to wait.
No, we don't have to wait. We
Okay,
don't have to
perfect.
wait. We've got the report and we've had plenty of inspections.
So then my recommendation, guys, would be it clearly in here says, and I don't know the phraseology, a design professional, design engineer, whatever. Before we start talking about dormers, not dormers, whatever, let's get an engineer to tell us exactly what it is he thinks. And if we want to ask him for options of the two, that's fine. But I'd like to hear it from a roofing professional to say, hey, what do you think
Agreed.
needs to happen with this roof?
I agree, we don't want to mess this up.
We don't already have
Alright.
information?
so do you want to go get estimates in? Is that what we're looking for?
No,
I want to get an engineer in to come in and say, based on this.
That's what this is. This is from the engineer.
Well, but what this says in here is that he doesn't have a design for a new roof. That if we're going to replace this roof, this report does not tell us how to do that.
That's for an architect.
Yeah, that's not for an engineer.
Okay, then I suggest we go to an architect and start getting together.
We need a metal roofing company because
Yeah.
he talks about how you need to crimp the edges and do it the proper installation.
You need a metal roofing company and to get a proposal. But again, with dormers, without dormers, that's really the only direction I need from you guys. We can have-
It's already
With
there.
dormers.
Yeah. Let's just get some estimates and get some going.
And listen, here's something.
So
to
exactly
look
what we
into.
have.
I think most roofs have a 30-year, some more,
Yeah, for metal, yes.
yeah, warranty, so,
That's again, nothing was located the 2 years ago when we first got into this.
No, definitely not warranty, because that's the first thing we looked for.
so they
We'll
put
look
a
again.
roof on with no warranty, there has to be.
No, not
Not
saying there
even
isn't
once.
one, saying
There's
that
no
there's no
documents.
documents.
We don't have any purchase documents at all. Jeez.
Not
Lloyd
that,
might have it.
not that I,
Lloyd might have it, so.
so we'll have to look.
I searched, yeah, for quite a
Yeah.
while for this. That was
So
the first question.
that was that was the first step that we took, so.
Why would he retain those documents?
He was.
Legally, how are we not retaining those?
Well, legally, you don't have,
Liaison.
that's not one of the documents we have to retain legally,
If the
but
contractor subcontracted, he may never have given them to.
correct.
that's part of every construction contract that they get.
Yeah,
All
agreed.
warranties
Yeah.
are assumed by the property owner.
Not only that, but the plans, all of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Can we
is,
contact the GC and figure out if he's still got this stuff on hand? I realize he doesn't have an obligation to retain it, but
Contract, do
Arco.
a contract.
Is
Aren't-
that Arco?
No, they were the roofer.
No, they were the roofer.
No.
Arco was
Arco
building.
did the whole building.
Yes, so the question to Arco is, please provide the roof work.
Now, that's weird because when I talked to Armco, they were not the GC. They simply were the roofer. That was it.
Yeah, that's what they told us.
Yeah,
So, but this is Son, the guy, Son, right?
I don't know his name. The one guy we initially started dealing with is no longer there.
Arco is still active in Osceola County. They-
Yeah. No, they're the ones who've been out
They've
doing the repairs.
come out 4 or 5 times to try to
But
repair.
he flat out said, we were just the roofer. We weren't the GC or the builder on this. We just did the roof.
No, in a previous life, building out a church, they said that they were the GC for this project.
I'm pretty sure they're going to.
That's, I mean, that would be great news if they are, but, okay. All right. And I'll look at everything again.
Mark, is that anything you can find at the county? Building permits or plans that old?
Well, I mean, guys, we should even have it in meeting minutes of who we approved for a general contractor on a vote. Back to 2015,
Yeah, we can look
2014.
through the.
Well, and Danny
minutes.
Bumpus designed this building, so if we had questions, we can reach out to him. I'm sure he has records and notes of everything he's worked on as well, in addition, not just the regular go-to.
Despite all this, I think the new roof,
Yeah,
Is
that's
what-
initially what we gotta do.
So I will get with a roofing company.
Yeah. the only question
Several
is,
to
if
come
any of
out.
it salvageable? In
Right.
other words, do we have to do the whole thing or can we just do portion?
Okay.
I think, yeah, I think the report said whole thing, yeah, we'll remove the old.
Once this happens, I can imagine them, you know what, here's the thing, what's gonna happen, they're gonna say partially, we're not gonna warranty anything, because they'll either do the whole thing or they'll warranty
And
nothing.
any warranty with the number of hurricanes we've had probably is not going to be a good
Inch
one.
one, Jan,
Yes?
Yes,
I'm looking at the AIA agreement with Arnco from April of 2015. They were paid $2.9 million. That tells me it's more than a roof. I can send that to you.
Yeah, how
Yes.
come we have that now? We didn't have it 2 years ago when we looked at
Right
this.
there.
I've had it for a while. That may have been when I looked for it.
well, yeah, no, then that wasn't just for the roof.
That was the whole building.
Okay.
Well,
26 feet, is that past the statute or anything?
Not yet.
I'll talk to my construction folks, but I know the issue with the roof was the initial one.
Well, and guys, I do want to support going out and looking at costs of a new roof because I think we need to move on this. But the report says we are of the opinion that focused, discrete repairs can also be done to address the typical locations of known leaks at slope transitions at the top of the dormer roofs. And then they go through and list 9 different bullets of things that need to happen. So their commentary here is, yes, you can replace your roof. But then they give their opinion is we can fix these by doing things with the dormers. Now, whether or not these things have already been done or not and tried, I don't know.
Well, no, I agree with you, Greg, because their insurance claim, I wouldn't let them close it, so there is an insurance adjuster assigned to this. That once the board now has accepted the report, I can send the report and say, okay, we need a new roof, and they'll come back and say, we'll do the repairs that are required. Even though they've done them several times.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I don't know where
I
you're
don't know how
gonna
many more
get.
times they're gonna
Yeah.
do them, but they've
I mean,
done them.
I said it
They
a
failed
year
every
ago and I'll
time.
say it again. I have zero faith that Arnco is going to get us.
I agree, Greg, I think, yeah, we'll do it, we'll get our own person to go ahead and do it, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
and now that I think about it though, I bet you the fact that warranty is part of this is because warranty is the material itself, but if somebody puts it on incorrectly,
Then
not
there's
gonna be
no
a warranty.
warranty. And I say, I know I've heard some.
that's why Arco's been out here the whole time trying to fix what they did wrong.
I
And it does say in here, repair details must be developed by a licensed design professional with experience in metal re-roofing and repairs and must be implemented by a qualified metal roofing roof contractor. So they don't
Yeah, and
mention,
typically when you call a metal roof, we did one out at Terra in Bradenton. Metal roof company came out, they do, the drawing, they wanted to replace the existing. And they provide engineering plans and all that stuff. Some don't, but some do.
so my suggestion when you engage Arco with this report, Jan, would be take these 9 bullets that on agenda page 106, it's page 16 of their report, and say, tell me in detail whether or not you did these. And, if they took pictures or whatever else, let's see what they actually did or did not do. And then we can figure out from there, do we want to go back to Arnco? Do we want to go to someone else? Can we get reimbursed? Those are separate conversations. I just want to figure out what they actually did up against this report.
Okay.
Any other discussion on this one? I'm happy that we're actually at this point.
Well, let's
We actually know
move
what
beyond
the
this
problem
point, 'cause I want the roof.
No, I know that, but we're not pushing it down the road.
No.
I appreciate we just gotta move forward on this quickly.
And Angel, just expectation setting, is it realistic that you will be able to come back with quotes on new roofs just for our consideration by the next meeting? Or how long is that gonna take?
I mean, I'll start calling tomorrow as long as they can come out and look at, what they're bidding on. I don't see a problem. Why we shouldn't be able to get them. I don't know how long, it'll take or how backed up different companies are, but yeah, I'll try. My expectation is to have them at the next meeting. That's my expectation.
Okay. All right, anything else on roofs, roof assessments, reports, anything? No?
Nope.
Anything else, Greg? For that?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
District manager, update regarding solicitation for auditing services.
Is this all the? We suggest something since we've had a member of the audience patient waiting. It's probably under the maintenance.
It's kind of, it is under the maintenance section, but you're a little late. But yeah, why don't we go to Tom and talk about the update on maintenance for landscaping. That's okay.
I could read it all to you, but
It's all in
it's
there.
up to you. So on the maintenance portion, our team has successfully completed the mow cycle in lieu of the heavy rains, which I'm sure you're all aware of. Any areas that have been too saturated from mowing have been shared with the district and rectified within the next mow cycle. We will continue to manage our team to improve our maintenance performance. On the PPE section, all crew members have been equipped with the appropriate PPE materials and are mandated to wear. We will continue to monitor this as safety is of utmost importance.
This is really important because especially
Yeah, and I urge y'all, if you see one of our guys, please report it and we'll take corrective action.
Okay.
Detail and bed maintenance. We will continue to improve on our route in order to increase our productivity. Things we have added during our rainy season to help combat this is. Let me do this real quick. Sorry. To combat.
Well, no, we can't
growth.
hear you.
Yeah.
You gotta record it.
Oh, I got you. To combat weed growth.
Can you hear him?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
He's got that voice.
To combat weed growth would be pre-emergence and a sticker to keep the chemical from washing away during the application. We've also added a dedicated weed control technician, so that's all he does all week throughout all of CDD property. Pest and FERT, we are continuing to spot treat for IND and weeds throughout the property, which has recently included weekly service calls to our pest and FERT operator. We are in a nitrogen blackout, which means we can't apply any nitrogen anywhere due to the washouts. That ends in October. We have a blanket application scheduled in October. We will be extremely aggressive in delivering that nitrogen to put the nutrients to the areas needed. Irrigation, our team will continue to monitor and repair in conjunction with the district in order to ensure adequate coverage and water usage, which has included shutting down the system during heavy rainfalls like Debbie. Enhancements, I can go through each one that we've completed. Otherwise, I can allow you guys to read through those. That's completed this week or recently completing this week. And then the following under C would be completed during the week of September 2nd. That would bring us up to date with all the approved proposals as of now. Looking forward, we will continue to supply proposals at the request of the district, as well as provide proposals and recommendations village by village for missing and or improving the landscape overall look. We're going to start with North Village. I'll be probably throughout there next week. And then as soon as I have North Village taken care of, we'll move down to South Village and East Village. Try to make this as quickly as possible so that way you guys can have it in mind for upcoming budgets. Number 7, just a note, we have created a grid of Celebration Boulevard in order to aid the district and the board in deciding on curb replacement.
So I know we discussed when we're looking at villages,
Yes.
Where possible, a lot of them is just what we're really looking for is just minor replacements. So there will be
like East Lawn for instance,
Right.
or we'll say a Kilo Loop, for instance, there's a handful of plants that are missing.
Right.
So that's gonna be one proposal.
Right.
That's gonna be infill of direct material. Recommendations will be a secondary proposal if we want to redo the entire entrance, or say the grass directly adjacent on that median because it's 100% shade. That would be a recommendation that we can,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying?
I just want the board to know that we're not looking for like grand overhauls. for
No,
some of
no.
These areas, primarily the alleyway, some other areas, if we can fill in what's currently there.
Absolutely.
And that's the goal.
And
That's
to
the goal,
increase
not,
the overall look is filling the landscape that's existing as of now. But we will provide the recommendations to, like I said, in the areas where the sode's not gonna do well and it never will do well. Let's come up with a proposal for the future to replace that with something with some longevity.
right. Any questions from any board members?
Good to see the crepe myrtles going into Island Village.
Yes, that's happening next week.
Right.
So there, as of right now, there are 0 understory plants included in that proposal, but we can revisit that.
Did you get,
There was like 4 or 5 different plant materials, I think, or something right now, and it seemed like a little bit too much.
So once we get the trees in there, we'll reevaluate, and then
Yeah.
we're reevaluating the irrigation system, make sure it can handle more plants. We might have to go with a species that can handle a little less watering, so that tree can actually get the water.
this time of year, just make sure it's guide
Absolutely.
strapped correctly.
Yeah, it'll be strapped down with probably Pro 40s. Otherwise, I'll put some palm buttons on it.
No, and I agree with you. We shouldn't have that many variations. It's just harder to maintain.
Understood. Yeah, we can revisit that, and once we get the trees in, I'll work with Russ, and we'll get the understory plants fixed there.
Area underneath 417.
Yes.
So, can you watch that? Because I know they planted them, and I'm already seeing some that are under stress.
That are under stress. So we have to look at the water program. So the ones that are getting stressed, I'm not sure if it's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just don't
team.
want you to replace everything again.
Yes,
but
absolutely. So, but I will take care of that area if those aren't going to survive in those specific areas, because it's really just specific areas.
Right.
Then we'll come up with an idea, and I'll take care of those plants. So.
Cool. Any other questions? Anything else? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for waiting.
Anytime.
Do we have anyone from aquatics?
No, we reached out to them and both had prior engagements. They could not break.
Okay, so I might be moving around here on the thing, but since we did landscape, let's move to aquatics.
Sure.
I looked at the reports and I'm missing half a celebration. If you look at their PDFs.
The reports I just sent you guys,
yes,
or that Jasmine sent you?
Yeah, it says NV, North Village. I don't remember seeing SV, I don't remember seeing EV. And I'm seeing a lot of, there's some heavy blooms that are forming. And, you know, my biggest concern, like the one on water side, there's 2 on water side. One is the golf course side, and one is the area right on the intersection where the church is and the terraces. Those are all green. Okay, so the corner one, it's green on the outer areas, but it's bright green. Nothing's been sprayed there because it wouldn't be bright green. The one at the golf course, that area now is 2/3 covered, and that's bright green. That means nothing's been sprayed. The area in Roseville Corner, I know they took a picture of some floating grass or whatever you want to call it in the downtown lake, but there's 4 or 5 pieces now in Roseville Corner. And so I don't know why, if they're going around doing all this stuff, they're not, don't ask us to grab it.
That picture came from me.
Okay, but the thing is, don't ask us to grab that stuff. We should, we should. You should say we did. It should already be pulled. Because that's just, but again, the one in Roseville Corner, I'm just watching it as I've been going the last month and a half. It keeps getting worse. They're not treating it. So I just have a concern with this, that you know, I know we met with them. I know you met with them a second time, and there's only so many times we can meet with them. And that's why I wanted them at the meeting. I understand they had it, but I really want them at the next meeting. Because, you know, and then maybe at that point, we would set them. Okay, we looked at all the areas you sprayed and stuff. I just don't know why in the reports they sent us half a celebration missing. Because to me, that means they haven't done the other half celebration, which by now, since they started June 1st, I'm thinking they should have done it twice already, all of celebration. Right, because that's 90 days, it's almost 90 days in a week.
Okay.
So, but I don't know if anybody has anything to add for products.
I'm concerned.
Yeah, I am concerned too.
Did have a gentleman come in here the other day
Matt,
with concerns. He actually
oh,
does
resident, sorry.
the golf course here. He's a one-man show.
Oh, that's
Oh, boy.
great.
No,
No, it's
talk
actually,
to the golf course.
it was really
maintenance
good.
guy, Ryan. Been there for 10 years. And he also does
Um,
championship. That's all he does.
and their ponds look really good.
Some of their bonds.
Just saying what,
So I know, but
I might have reviewed their work.
but I think a one-person
I'm just
operation to
bringing it up,
handle
that's all.
celebration would be impossible. Right? I mean,
What?
that's, to do all the pond celebration with. I don't know. But hey, listen, I'm just concerned, we got rid of one aquatics company. I don't want, again, this is how we did it before. I don't want to get rid of anybody. I want them to do what their contract says.
Exactly.
But if their contract, if they can't fulfill it, you know, there's two steps. One, I'm not happy. But then number two, the board's not happy. And then the worst thing is, the public's not happy. They start
Right.
posting what the hell is going on. It makes it look like we're not doing our jobs.
right.
And we're doing everything possible except cleaning the ponds because we can't physically do. You guys are matching.
No,
What is this?
I like that color.
Gosh, all right. So anyways,
Mom dress as well.
So Tom, I'll jump in on that. And I
Please.
100% agree with you. I do have in my mind, you know, there's only so much we can do. And I've heard that from all the vendors. We're on our third one now in 3 years, you know, that you can't overtreat these things. I am concerned where there are deficiencies against what they're contracted to do, not only for the vendor, but what's the process that staff is following up with them to make sure that that they're meeting their contracted timelines of when they're supposed to be treating things.
We're communicating that with the maintenance liaison, and we've had several meetings with the vendor in person to go over all deficiencies. At that point,
and then we return and
Yeah.
go back. These aren't done yet.
right,
I mean, we've walked the celebration twice already in the last month.
correct. So we
And sorry,
do
that was
and
the
it
part I
becomes-
hadn't heard, is whether or not staff or anybody had gotten in on and started jumping on their case or not, and what.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
I
I
had
was
this,
in that conversation.
yeah, I had
Okay.
the same meeting with United. We had the same meeting with them, what, 3 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, and lit a fire there.
Yeah.
And
Well, there was twice.
Yes.
There was two meetings and
Mhm.
and listen, we walk. I think we're doing our part from the management side and from the board side.
Okay.
At one point, they're, you know, either they want to fulfill the contract or
Right.
they don't. I think it's just one of those, right? Or they can't.
Well,
Maybe that's the third.
guys, this is real simple. If they're not fulfilling pieces of the contract, take a prorated number of the number of ponds that we have identified they haven't treated. And if they haven't done 40% of the ponds, then we're withholding 40% of their payment for the month.
Yeah, that's our next step. That's all we have is our next step. And Angel has mentioned that to me. So it's just assessing which ones those are and saying, here you go. And let them come to the next meeting to talk about it, because I want to hear it in person, not on remote. I'd like to hear it in person.
Guarantee you dock their allowance, they'll find a way to come to the meeting.
All of a sudden, we are here. Oh, hey, how's it going?
And correct me if I missed this, but I'd also like to see a list of the aerators they've got and like a green or a red, working or it's not working.
I think we have that already. A map with all of the aerators on there.
Yeah, we got a map.
Yeah, we already have
I
them,
believe they're all-
and they're all
No,
working, right?
They're all working?
I believe they're all working.
Yeah, we can check them again, but they just actually went through and checked them as well. Because they're the ones who asked for the map. We gave it to them and they went and did a check. And they were all working, but we can double check it. I can send it out to you as
Yeah,
well.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's easy. If they're doing a regular report, just have the aerator page and make sure everything's green.
Yeah.
And then I know they're checking it.
Okay,
So you're withholding any payments until we can figure out exactly what's appropriate to pay.
Yep.
Okay.
We love that.
Do we?
It does. All right, let's go back to a district manager update regarding solicitation for auditing services.
there's really no update. We're soliciting for auditors.
That's fine, that's fine.
That's it.
Well, actually,
Um,
Jenny's been sending out dates, trying to get the audit committee together to,
Yeah, that's
meet.
the other thing, but that's for the audit committee.
yeah.
And services we're now going through, for auditors, the auditing companies. And as Gary's point, Brenda, we can just, instead of trying to continue to do dates and pushing it, let them hold the meeting and whoever shows up, shows up. Instead of trying to continually push it out.
Agree. The problem was I have like 5 or 6 members and I'd only get 2 people on any particular date, or it was just hard, so.
And I think September 11th or something like that, there's at least 3 of us that were available that day.
Are you gonna do it on 9/11?
We've met on 9/11 before.
Whichever it is, if you have at least 3, I would say go ahead and hold it instead of trying to herd
Okay.
cats to get it
Sure.
done.
And Jack, I'll pick a day. Definitely I need you there, so I'll pick one of the days that you're available and see who I can get still in September to try to
Okay.
hold this meeting. And then once I have that meeting date, then I can solicit for the proposals so that the committee can review it, and then we'll get it on the next board agenda.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Awesome. There was something else I had.
You still have time to run.
Yeah, you can go on to Russ.
Field manager, monthly reports.
A couple of things real quick. Someone has requested a no soliciting sign for Island Village. You don't want any of that? I thought we used to have them.
There is. There
We
is.
don't have any that I know of anymore.
I thought when you drive into like a water side.
Water side has.
North Village.
North
West.
Village
Yeah.
has
North
one.
Village.
Oh, so that's a good point. It's probably by village. It doesn't get you off of World Drive or coming in off. the-
No,
Yeah.
no.
Here's
I was talking about like coming into the main entrance.
here's the deal with the non-soliciting sign. It doesn't mean anything.
That's not enforceable.
Can't enforce it.
No big deal. Duke Energy, and I had some papers, and I think I left them in my office where they've been making a mess on some of our property,
I should.
but I'm not sure we can do anything about it. It's where their transformers and switch gears are at. They're not done yet, but,
We can do something about it.
well, I think we're gonna find out that they gotta have line of sight of their equipment.
The line of
Wait
sight
till
is,
that-
is one thing, but damage is another.
Well, they've actually, some places like mowed the hedges down to like this far.
Oh, that's
There's other
damage.
places where if you look, there's paint on the hedges,
Oh.
so I'm sure they're fixing it. You can't see their transformer, so.
You know,
They're cutting
they,
tree
if,
limbs that are hanging
if
over
they,
their equipment, so.
if they painted the power boxes, would be okay with that.
That's
but they
what I
chose
thought
not to.
today, actually.
So,
I just wanted to be aware
We're
of,
getting resident complaints where their transformers are not hidden, so we're gonna have to plant.
we just need to go back and say, once they're done
Yeah.
working, we will reassess.
Are they done in North Village yet?
And that's been the communication, but just letting the board know.
oh, that's even a whole other project there.
Yeah.
That's
Because
not,
they-
not even got anything to do with.
Somebody dug up some of that brand new asphalt on the street.
In the back, yeah.
No, over in Grace, between Grace.
Yeah, in the
and
back, of Longview, alleyway.
Not in the alleyway.
Oh,
On
on
the
the
street,
front, yeah. out
You know where
front.
you want to remove those cypress trees?
I got the
right
picture,
there.
Yeah.
Just so everybody understands though. Duke Energy on each of their facilities and transformers, switchgears, whatever, they have a maintenance easement around it.
Yep.
Where they can wipe out anything they want, can't touch it. So I'm assuming that's within that envelope and we just, everybody plants stuff there knowing if Duke ever comes back, it's gonna go away and you have to replant.
Oh, so, and this is like on people's properties,
It's on our property.
our
So
property.
they have used.
Several
So
locations.
we're gonna have to
Yeah.
replace.
So don't get angry at Duke. That's what they did.
I still can get it, I can get it.
You know where the Corellas garage is down there around 1250 something, look at that and you'll see what they're doing. Then you can go down to the next switch here in Artisan. And it's probably down maybe 1,500 feet on the same side of the road.
Cause I know they were on
Maybe the same
Elon
thing
and
here.
that blocked it for about 3 days. Pretty efficient, but they definitely get to it, but they got 2 or 3 guys working in there. which is why
Right
they
here,
exit.
they had tree guys that were cutting the trees that were hanging over their stuff.
Can we drop off the paint?
And the grass was wet and they're using the big line trucks and.
Okay.
I just wanna let you know.
Okay, I appreciate it.
There's nothing.
Oh,
That's
painting.
why.
That's all I got.
Painting.
Meaning what?
Painting, we authorized a 2-year project painting
Mm-hmm.
for celebration, so I kinda wanna know. We
Where are we at
technically
with
on
that?
October 1st should be halfway. Cause that's 1 year.
What did we have?
We authorized to paint everything green, poles,
Last year,
lights,
you started.
The tall poles.
no,
Every,
everything.
Hmm.
Everything, every light pole, every
The tall
pole,
poles were included, but it was
stop
everything green.
signs, everything.
Anything that was celebration green.
Anything with celebration green.
kind of why I was asking about our street signs,
Yeah,
because.
The county owns
Those
them.
street signs are in our property, not in their county right of way.
you're talking about all the signs?
Yeah.
Yeah, they would
Street
be,
sign.
they would be in our right of way, even county signs. What do you,
Yeah, so I mean, it's not
Yeah.
the county sign.
Yeah.
It's in our property, because it's,
The only signs
well,
that we own are coming out of an alleyway. Stop
yes,
sign, one-way sign.
That's
Every other
it.
sign out here is
It's
the
county.
county's.
yes.
but we supply the
We supply the
poles.
pole.
We split.
Cause if not, you would get those channel locks.
Right, right,
Just
the stuff that
crazy.
nobody likes.
Right.
Okay.
We
So
provide the
They
poles.
own signs in our verge.
Yes.
Yeah, most,
Oh.
most everywhere does. Cause it's a right of way and that's where the county has to put their sign.
Well, that's just it. I mean, usually the county puts it in their right of way. They don't have
They don't
that.
have a right of
We
way.
don't have it right of way.
We are the route.
We're the right of way. Now, the white signs with the green lettering, those are district. The ones in one of your pictures,
Right,
those are district or CDD owned signs that we maintain and do all that.
and then, but to your point, when you say paint everything, we're also talking about street signs, right? Street poles.
Yeah. The back of stop signs, everything.
And I think they provide the sign, but we paint the back of them green or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
so,
can we get rid, instead of, oh, never mind, I'm not gonna go there.
so
Well, that's what we approved.
long story short, we're gonna put
Okay.
together a painting plan
We've
and show
already
you.
started
It-
saying, like I said, we hired
Yeah.
another guy.
Okay.
He can only work 3 days a week, to be honest with you, but it's gonna be 24 hours. That's all he's gonna do.
If he's dedicated to it, he'll
I
catch
told him,
up.
don't even stop to pick up a piece of trash. I want you painting 24 hours.
Let Jack do that.
And then we have also Juan, who is a painter as well, so that'll be it. But
Okay.
we'll put together a plan, comprehensive plan of where we're
Well,
starting,
I just don't wanna lose track of that. because
what's
technically-
done, what's next on the list, so it'll
Right.
be a plan, not just.
Alright. Anything else, Russ?
I got stuff, Russ.
Okay, go ahead.
Just two things.
Here we go.
One, well, maybe it's a
It's
rough
like,
thing.
I got stuff,
Sorry.
I only have 2.
I know.
He promised.
I
Almost.
No, I don't think so.
We should go back to, who's doing all the talking. The boardwalk, last month, we had this report that said,
It's in there.
There's-
It's in the agenda.
4 posts, 6x6 posts.
Well, you talking about a kill loop?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
yes,
Okay,
but
that's the next one.
it is. But, I wanted, did you mention last month that there was others like that we had to consider? That was,
The only thing wrong at Aquila Loop is there's 4 6x6 posts that are warped.
their work.
And it gives the effect that the whole boardwalk is like this.
Yeah.
We'll have it done next month.
Yeah, that wasn't, I was wondering if you were if you went and checked out any other areas that are similar like that might have the same condition.
I haven't seen anything like that, but I mean.
We can have the
check
same,
every
the
single
same
month.
company go and do an inspection of all of them if that's what the board would like. Or if you want staff to do it. I mean, they go out and look at them, but if you're wanting something like this, like structural, we can get this
That
company
guy.
to. Mhm.
That seemed to work out pretty well.
And
but
it wasn't that expensive if you look at it for him to do it.
I just wanted.
I would like to get a quote to see what that is for a.
I would
license
say
to
that
a
from
guide
safety
for the
standpoint.
entire town.
Yeah, I agree, Greg, because
So you want a quote? a proposal to inspect all boardwalks throughout the community.
That they haven't done yet, which is
Okay.
one, but
And I want to make sure it's a, because in the report here, they emphasize this. I want to make sure it's a structural engineer in case they do come up on structural things. We're not having to go get a second person to look at this.
No, he's a structural engineer. I'm gonna get a quote from him.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, we're just coming up on, you know, the age of the boardwalk, so we need to know what we're dealing with. When we get into budget season and we say we need to repair one or two, we have no clue. So I think we definitely need to have that.
okay.
So I did have a question for Russ. There were a few other things that are identified in here in the report. Are you and your staff able to address all of those things, or is there anything we need to get somebody else in for?
We can address everything.
Okay.
And then lastly, on the bat houses that we got, I may or may not have another bat problem, just for the record. And the bad guy said, oh, well, you have that maintained, right? Because I told him about our new bat houses. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you need to have those maintained periodically because they fill with guano, I have a better term.
Is that crap?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the bats
So,
don't do
great,
bird
we got-
crap. That's one.
We got great new bat houses. I love it, but there's a maintenance program.
So who's doing, are we removing that?
No,
I was gonna say, we.
we're not
Talked about.
Well, that sounds like that sounds like the Boy Scouts, and
Yeah.
Dave, I think that's up your alley.
I do have a Boy Scout. I could volunteer him to go.
Does he know what kind of bat houses they are?
Any bat house need to cleaned out.
I would think,
They
where
are
else,
busy.
I mean, I would think that that sounds reasonable, that they would
Think-
fill up with.
But since it's only about this wide, that they're just hanging up there and stuff's falling right out the bottom.
They poop inside.
They go everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're not.
They're kind of indiscriminate.
Bats.
So maybe they were polite. about it.
No.
So, yeah, listen, I
Celebration.
didn't think about that either until you mentioned. So I think we want to look into a maintenance program for our house.
Oh, golly.
Oh my gosh. All right, so this is scope
Yeah.
scope creep.
Wait, hold on a second. How high are these things mounted?
They're high enough that when you're on a ladder and we were putting them in and there was two of us with two ladders, it was kind of.
You sure we would, it'd be either replace the whole box with a new box.
What if you don't maintain it? What happens?
They don't get used.
Do they carry diseases?
Yes, they
Yeah,
do.
they go, actually, they're probably at my house now.
Who's
There was a
gonna,
lady that came in yesterday and it was dark out. She goes, listen to this, I came home. Yeah, knew right away, it was fast. There must be thousands of them. It was definite.
Wow.
so if they
More
carry
houses too.
diseases and stuff, I mean,
Yeah.
This is right here in Jasmine Street.
we get.
Well-
somebody to clean them, like
The thing,
Call like,
Oh, yeah.
animal control.
Just listen to the
Wrong stuff.
They might come and
observe.
what
Russ
about
doesn't
you?
have to do this. You can hire a company.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have.
I would, yeah, I don't want staff doing this.
Yeah, or call University of Florida and ask them if they.
I'll ask them if they have a program. Okay.
I'm sure they have.
This turned into a one-time thing, now it's gonna cost a district.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
it's Dave's fault because he
we're not
didn't
doing
have the foresight to go ahead and say we need bat houses
Well,
and didn't have the other
That's
piece.
that's my sales job. I reel you in. I said, okay.
Good time, moving on.
I call bat crap on that one. All right, so,
Pressure wash out there.
okay, Aquila Loop Boardwalk available, oh, we already.
Yep, that's all done.
Legal counsel memorandum regarding trafficking.
This is your legislature at work. They added a one-line provision at the end of the human trafficking criminal statute.
Yeah.
That says that any contracts that a government enters into with a non-governmental entity must have an affidavit signed by the non-government. It says they have not coerced anyone for purpose of human trafficking.
Yeah.
So all vendor agreements
all
will
vendor
have to have that.
agreements,
Yeah, they have to sign that.
and it's an affidavit, which is a pain because it needs to be notarized, and it's going to take a contract.
How do they actually enforce that the company isn't using human trafficking?
It's not
We get
other
an
than that
affidavit- We
piece
get
of
an
paper.
affidavit that they say they have not used any.
I like it how they
coercion
don't fund
It's
the
this,
problem.
it's the same as E-Verify.
It's
But at
more
least it
paper.
was put in a government statute.
Yeah.
This was capped, I mean, nobody
course
even
it
knew,
was.
but we
No,
called,
we didn't.
yeah, we called, Department of Commerce to say, you know, in your special district handbook, how are you handling this? And they're like, handling what? I mean, people don't even know.
So
what
we
it
just-
has.
We just need it in the contract for any vendor.
Okay.
use.
Well,
That's
is
it.
So it-
going forward, or do we need to revise all of our contracts?
It, became effective in July.
Mhm.
I think most districts are going forward.
Yes.
Okay, there's grandfather existing ones.
Our grandmother.
Like Infomark,
Grant versus-
we're already filling out that
Yeah,
affidavit
we
to
gave
provide to you all. So you'll have one from Infomark and
But Jan, to the point, I think as we're doing contract extensions, even on a current one where we're hitting option periods, we can add that in as part of the contract mod, yes?
Yeah, and anything we're doing going forward,
Yeah.
Infomark is doing. Yeah, we sent
And
this
again,
to
this
them
is,
a couple weeks
this
ago.
is not a bad thing, it's just,
It's just.
there's no way to
it's-
enforce it, so that's what it's kind of like, it's a.
And
piece
it's
of
going to
paper.
take more time to get contracts signed because they've got to find a notary. So that's,
Yeah, yes,
that's just
yes.
something for everybody to realize.
I get it.
We might
any
have a-
contracts, and the first one will be your wonderful IT contract that we just did, that we
That's
just took
true,
over.
yes.
We'll have to give them an affidavit to sign.
That's-
Anything else on that?
No, we're still talking with Duke on the franchise agreement with CDD. It's taking forever, but we did get back a version that incorporated many of our comments, so I'm just waiting for Enterprise Council to give me the okay. I sent her a couple more comments, so we should have that at the next meeting.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Engineering report.
Yeah, just two things to highlight. First is the crosswalk down at Campus and Front Street. We did a submittal to the county. We followed up with them today to see what status is. It still shows in view. It's only been or so. We'll try to keep pushing that along. The second thing is just all that DOT. And Jan and I had to call some attorneys. We're pulling all the permits that we find on the several tracks, which are primarily ponds along I-4 and Bull Drive area, to ascertain if the district utilizes those stormwater facilities for anything, for any purposes. DOT's looking property.
There's a couple, yeah, I kind of skipped that one. There's a couple properties that are not owned by the CDD, they're owned by TCE and under their new name. And they have drainage easements of the district, that's part of the Canoa deck. And so we need to see if we have any current use or look like we're going to have use. The DOT's general protocol is to say, hey, just subordinate to us, and if you ever need it down the road, we'll pay you money or fix it for you. We're waiting to see that agreement, see what it says, and then Mark just checking to see if there's any discharge permits that would prevent us from allowing.
I have one tag onto that there. I'd like to slow down the process with that dot. Until they replace the light poles by 417, which they promised 3 years ago to
I
do.
think it's 4 years now.
Oh, that's right.
I don't wanna do a thing to help.
Yeah, the lumber light poles,
Yeah, I want to do a
And-
thing to help them.
looking into it to see if that makes a difference.
Hopefully that will be somewhat soon, because I know they're getting ready to resurface all that with.
I know, but-
Yeah,
That's all
they-
part of
That's,
that.
that's 3.5 years in the middle.
Well,
I'm happy to send that over as if they
Please.
want us to jump, get these done. I'm sure it's the different project people,
Yeah.
that they can get it to the right.
I'm big on threats.
That's okay.
I mean, because it seems to be the only thing that works nowadays. Is you just can't move along on that. It just, it's terrible that they took it down. And they didn't replace it. I don't understand. And then, oh, we're ordering it. Oh, we can't find the bolts. Oh, we gotta schedule it. Oh, I'm like.
Okay.
So it's.
I'll send that over, because I say I'm waiting for an agreement from them, so it's good timing.
Okay,
When I
thank
get it,
you.
I can
Would
respond.
this
Thank you,
risk
Jack.
the process at all?
No, they need this land like ASAP, not necessarily the districts, the 4 properties that we have, only one of the small ones is impacted. But they need these lands that, that Celebration Company owns quickly. So we can just sort of say, hey, we wanna do this quickly, but that'll probably,
Yeah, it's one stubborn.
a
board
nice,
member.
a nice threat.
Yeah, nice. One stubborn, nice board member. Anything else?
I got something.
Oh, you got some for.
Yeah, 2 things. One, I'm bringing this publicly. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, you got this long list, you could have asked beforehand, I mean, you know.
Yeah, let me know if you're aware of this, but the legislature just passed a retention pond, or really a stormwater operating and maintenance provision that now new ponds going forward that haven't been applied at local municipality from like January. So some of them are grandfathered, but going forward, this will apply to Island Village ponds, now have to have an operating and maintenance program that goes along with it, make it permanent.
That was part of the June report that I thought we had to have that you did that was due by June. That was part of the new
No, this is
program,
something
I
different,
thought.
part of the permit application. according to their
Yeah, we
Yeah.
get ERP through South Florida Water Management District, which is our governing district. You have to, in order to get that permit, also have an operating maintenance plan. So we don't want the applicant, which I believe is Mattamy, that's applying,
Mhm. It would be
telling
bad
us
when they-
how to operate and maintain our ponds in the future without our consent.
Do we have a say in that, Jan, that far ahead in the game?
Not generally, but we can try.
Yeah.
But if they put in whatever, then they hand it over to us.
We're
Doesn't,
gonna
doesn't their
take
maintenance
some-
plan
We're
just,
gonna take subject to the permit, and if the permit has specific requirements, we take subject.
Yeah, so we're signing up for operating and maintenance that Mattamy tells us. we
But
have
I
to
have
do.
a feeling it's gonna be pretty basic operations. and it's-
Yeah, typically, you generally have this as a case, that you will maintain it, who will maintain it. Mowing it up once every week or 2 weeks and then just.
Yeah, but it's different.
But now they're looking for.
This is new and,
costs.
and the district doesn't even know exactly what the scope is gonna be right now because
Mhm.
it's just going into effect in the legislature. It's from a statutory
Yeah, I
perspective.
saw a bullet listing of all the stuff that they want, some of it can be basic, but then they will.
At our
funding
next
and current
Mattamy
dollars.
meeting, we need to get a copy of the water management district application for the ERP and make sure that we review it.
That makes
For,
sense.
yeah, for the O and M provision, or it gets
Makes sense, yeah.
submitted.
anything else?
And then what about the Aquila pond that everybody's complaining about? That's something, I don't know if it's an engineering thing.
I don't know that.
I haven't heard about it.
We have talked about this for the better part of a year and I have not heard a good answer and the resident keeps coming back. We either need to tell them we can't fix this and what they're asking.
What is it?
This is the.
They kill a loop with all the growth that's in the middle.
We're not fixing it. There's nothing to fix. It
But we
has
haven't, we haven't.
beneficial. Yeah, it's a littoral zone. It's beneficial. We talked to Cross Creek about it, showed them aerial, they did aerials. So it's a, let's say it's this big. They can shrink it because there are some invasives in there that they can treat, but there's also a lot of beneficial that you don't want to treat. What this resident is wanting is a pristine water
Yeah.
view, clean water, and that's not the design of these ponds. That's not what they're for.
Have they been told that, or they're
Yes.
not taking that for an answer?
They're not taking that. for an answer.
No, he wants it completely cleaned
Well,
out. It
if
can
I,
be cleaned.
as I read the email thread,
Yeah.
Angel, that maybe it's on a separate thread, but he keeps coming back with a thread where he's saying, hey, I'm still waiting. Hey, I'm still waiting for an answer.
Well, yes, so Greg, that's
Mhm.
exactly what they do when they don't get the answer they want,
Exactly.
right? And even though it's been told to them, I'm still waiting for an answer. They're disregarding what has been communicated to them before.
And I will reach out tomorrow again, and then I will follow it up in an email and put the entire board on it and say, per our conversations, this is, and I will list it out for him again. There's beneficial in there. Now, granted, there are some things that they can treat to make it,
And they have treated.
and they have,
treated some of
because
the
you
stuff.
can see some of it's dead, but what we talked about is shrinking it down from what he's seeing. So it will, but it's not gonna eliminate it. Now, if the board says, we want you to go in and eliminate all that, they'll absolutely do that. Is that the right thing to do? It would not be the recommendation, but again, that's a board decision.
So, and a couple other things to add too. When you purchase a home, you are not guaranteed a view of anything. It's in your deed. So that's number one. Number two, when they purchase the home, that stuff is already there. Didn't grow up overnight. So those are two very important pieces when we're looking at this. You go out there, it's natural, okay? Yes, when it gets really bad, is there a lot of mosquitoes? That's what happens around ponds and growth and stuff. You can't avoid nature. So even if you got rid of that, you're not avoiding anything. It's just being used as ammunition to get rid of it because they want it all clear. And it's not oceanfront property, it's a retention pond. So that's my opinion.
Yeah,
And-
that's all you can do, Angel, and then that's it. Nothing else to do.
Again, you know, these areas come up, their recommendation is to leave them, but if the board wants, and I do have some districts who are like, nope, don't care what's beneficial, we want them pristine, clean waterfront, no
But the history
vegetation.
though, is that when you do that for one, you've opened up precedents for everyone to start asking the district to do this, that, or something else.
Agreed.
It's a very dangerous road to go down.
Yeah,
It
and then
is.
the edges degrade because you don't have any plants on them.
And
you
the,
end
yeah,
up
the
with
plants
bigger
are
problems.
beneficial. They help with erosion, they help with water quality, all of these things. But again, if the board said, nope, this is what we want, we will absolutely make sure that happens. Okay.
And guys, I'm not suggesting we do anything out of the norm, but as I'm looking through the email thread here, I pulled it up. We've got Jasmine responding on it saying, hey, we'll respond back with further updates of things that we're doing. Angel, I think you need to jump in front of this messaging and ask Jasmine to stand back from it so it's very clear what we are and are not going to do, because I can see where the residents getting a little bit different messaging in the email than necessarily what we're saying here. And that's all I'm suggesting, is we just need to be clear on what we will and will not do.
Okay, yep, I will follow up with him tomorrow with a phone call and then follow up with an email.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else? Community center updates.
Well, this is where we need to relook at what we voted on last month so that we're clear, because as of now, no work means I can't follow up. I say we as a board can't follow up with TCC on the Todd Rimmer email that we're looking for. We can't use Jan for any of the appraisal follow-up that we want to work, because that also is tied to the master plan. And
The Todd Rimmer deal, that's, I think we can follow up on that, like, is that what you're talking about? What you've been doing?
that's work.
Okay,
I would love to have clarification.
So
It's no work,
I-
because that's what we're operating under right now, which
Okay.
is very restrictive.
So I think, and I hear what you're saying. Because there's some things we still have to tie up. We still have a few little questions and things, and it'd be stupid to not tie that up because that's already in the works. I think we're agreed upon, Brenda gone up and review exactly what it said. And then at the next meeting, if we need to modify this to go ahead and cover certain things, whatever, I mean, we're all adults, we can all come back, try to make sure, okay, we kind of covered this stuff. And to clarify that.
You know, the intention wasn't to totally
Correct.
stop everything. It was to say, look, we're not gonna pay any more money to Dick's site because we're not getting anywhere right now with Grower. Okay, it wasn't to stop you guys from finishing up with Todd or whatever else it was involved with that.
But that's the interpretation. we have
Alright,
to
so-
operate under.
I think we need to clear it,
Okay.
and at the next meeting, let's,
okay.
you know,
Well, clear it now or wait till next meeting?
can we clear it up now?
I don't think Brenda was able to listen to it while she was on this meeting.
Well, can we?
Well, can we simply make a motion now to override the last motion with clearer language on whatever it is we're going to agree on? Can we do that?
You,
We can do that.
you'll have to have public comment if you're making a motion. And since
And there's
it's new.
no one, I mean, you can make that.
Yeah, but
There's no public.
but we're not, okay, but just to be very clear. We're not doing anything new. So there was the TCC letter that we're requesting was already in progress, right?
Yes,
The appraisals were already in process.
yep, they're done.
I also think, listen, if we had a few other questions, just trying to figure certain things out, because I know, like, before we go into the joint meeting in October, right? There could be some questions that we need. I think there's a reasonableness that we have to do, so maybe there's, I don't know how to define that in language, but I think there's a reasonable expectation that some work or some questions are still gonna remain. And we want the letter, right? And so we have to work on that.
So Jack, I would say if you want to rescind your original motion and make a new motion.
We'll rescind the motion and
Okay, rescind original motion. And we'll still listen to the audio and make sure that motion is correct in the original minutes. We'll still do that. Okay, what motion would you like to make?
I'd like to see no further expenditures to Dick's height right now. Beyond.
It's already been approved.
Work order 3, it's already been approved
So no further expenditures
to Dick's height.
to Dick's height. Aside from what has already been approved, which is up to work order 3.
But then
Does
I
that-
was wondering, okay, so
Up
what's
to
this
work
list
order
of outstanding items that we had already started. I'd like to see that list, what that
Oh,
is.
I'm sorry, just process wise, is Jack done with the motion and do we have a second?
Yeah, let's,
Oh.
let's finish.
So no further expenditures to Dick's Height aside from and or up to work order 3.
Let's suspend Dick's Height expenditures up through work order 3.
Suspend expenditures to Dick's Height aside from and up to work order 3.
That's it.
I don't know what that means.
That means,
It means nothing else with Dick's Height. Correct?
No,
Okay,
I'm
so
not
there was-
limiting anything else.
Hold on, Jack, finish.
I'm
Yep.
not limiting anything else. I'm just saying, no more money going to Dick's Height until we get some going with Crow.
So what had been on the motion on the, I'm sorry, on the agenda last meeting was work order 4. So can we all say that, Jack, and help me out here, we are simply rejecting work order 4. Everything else has
No.
already been.
No.
No. All work with Dick's Height past work order 3. There's nothing else going on with Dick's Height. That's his
What?
motion.
I understand that, but
It's
work order.
effectively the same.
It's
Yeah.
It's the same.
That's been
Yeah, they had,
proposed.
no, Greg, they also had requested a conference call because they had changed the scope. There was a lot of work going
Yeah.
on with their
Okay.
contract.
Correct.
But those are things that are already contracted, yes?
No, they are working on work order 3, and that's all they're doing until the board further
We've
lifts
never-
the suspension, but nothing past work order 3 was ever approved.
right.
Work order 4 was on the last agenda, but you all obviously tabled that.
So that doesn't limit you from talking with Todd or completing any of the other appraisals and stuff like
Yeah, and
that.
I apologize because I was still, we
Yeah,
were
no,
still continuing to reach out to Todd because that was something that we were already in the works of, which isn't necessarily an expenditure anyway. There's no,
Yeah,
Jan-
you know,
it's not an expenditure.
yeah, if
Yeah.
she's on the calls or something, but
Yeah,
But
what
my
about if
concern
I
was
get
the
requested
money,
to
like
do?
spending more money on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
You
couple
know, whether
outstanding things. We had, title work out there on one of the parcels. We had a number of fairly substantial items.
And I want
Hanging
to
out
have
there.
the ability for you to continue that. So given this motion that rescinds the following one.
But what are you saying?
Okay, I thought the motion was to stop expenditures.
expenditures.
Yeah.
Dick's Height.
Yeah.
Dick's Height.
Just to Dick's Height.
Oh,
okay,
just
because
to
the
Dick's
Not
Height. See, I
to-
thought it was
last-
forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we thought it was.
Not to
forever.
anything else.
No, we
I
got
would
stuff,
second Jack's motion.
we got stuff in the works right now, so let's stop Dick's Height.
Okay,
So, discussion before we do
well,
this.
you need a second.
I second Jack's
Greg,
motion.
second. That's why.
All right, now you can discuss.
Okay. No, so
There's no public. Wait, there might be actually. Go ahead, sorry.
So
Yeah,
2 points.
there's members of the public on the line. I'm seeing.
That's fine.
Yeah, there's
So-
2 people.
So 2 points
Mhm.
before we vote on this. And I'm sure some of you guys are gonna hate me, but I do need to ask this question to you, Jan. I know we're clarifying what that is, and I think we're clarifying it for a lot of people. There was complete misunderstanding from a lot of people on that. But my question is that this was not on the agenda. Okay, this clarification is not on the agenda that we're actually voting on. Is that a problem? Should that be on the agenda? Is it?
Well, under master. plan.
Community center updates.
But it doesn't, it doesn't state,
Yeah.
that's blind. That's not really saying what we're actually voting to clarify what we voted on.
I understand your
Correct.
comment, and I think because it wasn't an action item, people may complain. It's not illegal, you can change an agenda as long as you have public comment, but
Yep.
people in the public may say that did not appear to be an open comment, or we did not have proper notice. Which it is proper legally, it's okay to do that, but it was not listed as an action item on this issue.
And I just want to make and ask the board one question. So the motion, suspend expenditures to Dick's Height aside from and up to work order 3. Which is fine. Now, if we're going to continue down this path, take Dick's Height out of it, but if you want legal or Mark, and it's gonna be, because they're billable, where does that direction come from? Does it come from the liaison that you have appointed, which is Dave, which is totally fine? Because I think that's part of the issue too, where we were getting different things from different individuals to do this and do that. So I just want to be clear, where does that direction come from?
Well, there's two parts to that.
Okay.
One, I think general questions, or we need to get a hold of Todd Rimmer, or we need updates or whatever. That should come from Dave.
Yeah.
I think when you're looking at expenditures where all of a sudden it's 8,000, 10,000, 15,000, I mean, I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen, but I'm
Right.
just saying
No.
that has to be a board decision, because now we're spending money, so the board has to be the one to decide that we're gonna spend that money.
Okay, then
If Dave says, okay, I need to spend $20,000 for legal, we can have a board vote, right?
Okay.
But I think Dave is the one with the master plan that should be engaged in deciding.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's part of the
Am
question.
I misunderstood on that?
No, I just, cause expenditures, I see her
Right,
as dollar signs, I see dollar signs over there with Mark, so. I
So,
just,
I
don't want somebody just, being able to just tell them what to do and the board doesn't know how much it's going to be.
and that's
When
what,
we see a bill,
that's what I'm saying. I think if we go ahead and say, we're reaching out to different people, that's not costing us
If
any
he's
money.
doing that, yeah,
Right, or if he directs Angel to go ahead and do it, that's not costing us money.
right.
That's part of the thing.
Correct.
And it's one thing where it's a time sensitive thing, we need legal to go ahead and send a letter, it's $300, I don't know. Okay, it's just that all of a sudden, when we get over the reasonable amount, it has to come to the board to discuss and vote on.
What is that amount? Because we have a couple of
We
things.
can establish that, we can establish
We
that.
have a couple of things right now that we are asked to do, which is some more work on the appraisal.
Yeah, I kind of.
And then what was the other thing? Title
When
work?
when TCC comes back,
Title.
TCC is gonna be
Can
coming
we
back
get
from
the
lawyers.
list Out,
Yeah.
to make sure we know.
Excuse me, Greg, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I was saying, when TCC comes back, the Todd Rimmer notice, that's gonna come back from Disney's legal counsel. So I would want our legal counsel involved in the response or analysis or whatever needs to happen with that. So I think that needs to be included in there as an
But that'll come back to the board for the board to direct your
Correct.
legal counsel what to do.
But it's a response
First.
to the school district too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we get-
I
we'd
mean,
be
how
able
about
to-
we say up to 2 or 3 hours? If I think I can respond in 2 or 3 hours, which those things I should be able to do that. If it looks like it's gonna be,
That's reasonable.
over
Yeah.
$1,000 or something that's gonna
We-
take a
we-
lot of research, or I need to.
I just don't want to
see
hold
it in.
anything up in between. You know what I mean?
No, and that's fine, if we're doing like 2 or 3 hours, then we have that set parameter. And if it's gonna be like over, let's say $1,000, then it needs to come to the board and let's go ahead and
So-
discuss that, so we have a say.
Mhm.
Let me be perfectly clear, because I don't know what the dollar figure assigned to it is, but we've asked TCC for two things. One is a letter from their legal that
Yep.
says, hey, we want you to respond to this school district memorandum.
Correct.
Yep.
I don't know, now I'd love to be able to tell Jen, do you know somebody over there you can poke to get this memo out?
Yeah.
Because we've been waiting for a long time.
Right.
Yeah, I can talk to one of their lawyers.
See, yeah, and I wanna be able to do that, because if you say there's no
TCC's
work,
lawyers.
I'm not, it's because she said she couldn't do it, based on the. Like
Okay.
last one. And then secondly, we asked them for what the entitlements on the parcel we just got appraisal for. We might get that back, and we might have to review that, and there's gonna be a legal portion of that too. I don't know how much, but it's pretty small.
Those I don't think are big items.
It's not a
I don't
big,
think those two are big
Those
items.
are all 2 or 3 hour tops.
TCC legal and then entitlement.
That's,
On
that's-
part of it.
And that would be the extent of it. We're
Yeah.
done
And then if,
with work on the master plan, or not,
we're,
or you're just,
we're just.
that's what I don't understand,
No,
and
so
I don't
we're-
want to.
So
because-
we're suspending,
Right,
but go
but
ahead,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
the public thinks we're done,
No,
you know,
okay, but that wasn't
that
the
we-
motion. The public,
and I know
public
we
said-
can do this, like
the-
you said.
the
but
public
I
said we
wanna make
killed
sure
it.
They understand, right.
nobody said
right.
that.
We never said
We
that.
never
So,
said
yeah.
that. People were sitting
No.
right next to us and they said, they killed it, it's dead. I don't know where they got that
But-
from, because nobody said that.
You don't wanna do the public hearing, so you're saying, just to,
No, that's not what I'm
Just
saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I
understand.
we suspended Dick's Height initially. There's vague language that I think is preventing us to go ahead and do that, right? My feeling is we need to change that language to make it a little more accurate,
Mhm.
but we need to announce it at the next meeting. I don't think we should do it here. It's
Okay,
not, it's not
that's-
on the
okay.
agenda. And I
Yeah,
think we're gonna get crap for it.
Right,
right?
I'm willing
That's
to
what-
take that crap.
So I just want to make sure we have this covered and it's correct. Motion to suspend expenditures to Dick's Height aside from and up to work order 3.
Do we not have to also rescind the prior motion?
We already
Just
did
did.
that. Yep,
That's part of the
Just did.
motion, to rescind the motion.
to rescind the original and make these corrections. So then, aside from that, if that's the motion you're gonna make, then you've got a first and a second, then I would call for that motion if that's what you all
Well,
agree
let's
upon.
see any public comment. Which we have-
Okay, do we
You know what?
have-
Online.
There's no more public on the Zoom call. The 2 people dropped off.
Well-
Yeah, I was one of those people that thought no more money to Dick's Height and we weren't working on the master plan until we understood what Provo was doing.
Well, I think we
You
have
know?
some loose ends here that needs to be.
Yeah, I see
finished.
that.
That was the
but-
initial
Mhm.
takeaway, I
Right.
think, for a lot of people, maybe not all, but.
And it's also just to clear this part up. Jack's motion was to not proceed with Dick's Height
Mhm.
because we didn't know where Crow was. But that is very separate from us getting the letter from TCC, that once we have that, we can go to the school district, that those are like, but you're a different avenue because it's a different piece of property, right?
Mhm.
To see if we proceed with that. We still might not be able to proceed with that because they might say no, right? And then that was it, but it's not to go ahead and kill everything. I don't know how people got the perception of that, but that's on them because that's not what we discussed, to kill everything. That was never, it was pause and suspend were the 2 key words said. It was never to kill.
All right,
I don't know
so
who said that.
No,
is that the motion?
Yes, and I think I said that I'd be more than willing to
You
fund this
did.
thing if
You did.
Yeah.
TCC, I mean, if Pro came back and gave me something positive to work with.
Yes. That,
That
was part of
in
it.
there.
so
Read the motion one more
that
time.
motion is good, then I would ask for the call it.
Read it for me one more time, please.
Motion to, first, the motion to rescind the original motion and revise it to state, suspend expenditures to Dick's Height aside from and up to work order 3.
So
And then I
my,
have
own-
other
my-
things after this motion.
yep, my only question on it, and I'm not trying to play word games here, but my intent when I brought this up at the beginning of the meeting wasn't rescinding anything. It was clarifying what I had heard. So I would call this as a motion to clarify our prior motion as to what the intent was.
No, you have it doesn't matter. You have to rescind it. You can't clarify. But so
Okay.
now you're getting exactly what Jack's motion, what he wanted. The board, either you vote for it or you don't.
Okay.
Overvote.
So just stopping all Dick's Height stuff for now.
Correct. Suspending it.
So yeah, suspending it. same
All in
thing.
favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Me, because I think we should wait till next month.
That's what I think. I was about to say that. Hey,
That still passes,
So
but
3-2 with
3-2.
Tom
I
and
just-
Cassandra
Will
opposing.
we address this next month? I mean,
It's a standing, I mean, we can, absolutely, we can put something on the agenda for
on
sure.
the agenda for next month too. then.
please use the word clarification.
Okay,
That's that.
Okay.
Rather than, if you just put it there, people think it's a new vote.
yeah, that's fine.
If you put clarification, people can vote.
And then aside from that, just want to make sure legal, we can utilize legal for some outstanding items that we have up to 2 to 3 hours. Anything beyond that would come back to the board.
Sounds right.
TCC legal letter, if we get that in, if Jan needs to do something in a pinch, she can do it. Typically, that letter probably will have to come back to you all to give direction, but if it's something that can be handled, and then entitlements on parcels. Those are the
Right.
2 outstanding right now. But there may be other stuff, but I'm just saying.
But
Do we need a motion and a vote on that, Angel?
we will, no
No.
more than 2 to 3 hours with whatever is outstanding
Or is it per item?
or per item, right?
Oh.
I don't know what the
I
items
want the
are.
flexibility of per item.
It would be, I mean, that.
I don't think you're gonna go over 2 to 3 hours total.
That's really, this
Yeah.
is a,
That's
Yeah.
what
that's a
but-
nominal amount.
Yeah, I would say per item, and that way,
The 2
at
items.
least
so
those
that-
2 items.
for
Now,
those
and
two.
when is the next board meeting?
It's not workshop.
Tuesday of the month?
No, the
September
meeting, we're making it.
September
27th.
24th,
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever 10 plus 14 is
September
24.
24th.
So, just to keep in mind, it pretty much, we can use this time if needed between now and then.
Yeah, of course.
And if we have more information, the board can vote on something separate on that date, so
Yes.
we're clear, all right.
Absolutely.
So we need a motion for this?
I would ask for a motion, just so we have clarification. I don't, you want me to read it one more
Wait,
time to
read
make
it.
sure
Yes,
it's clear?
please.
Okay,
Yes, please.
the motion is to allow legal up to 2 to 3 hours per item on the TCC issue that's still outstanding and entitlements on parcels.
Yeah, only those two items. Okay.
Dave, a question for you before we make the motion, is that when is the entitlements thing the only thing you're looking at or questioning as far as the appraisal? I don't know the appraisal process, so is that
Nothing else. I mean, if
realistically
there's
else?
nothing else, I'm gonna put it on.
Not on that Celebration Boulevard parcel appraisal, no.
Okay, just making sure. Okay. Do you need a
Okay.
motion on that?
I would make, yeah, someone want to make that motion that I read?
I'll make the motion
Okay,
that we all
Second.
voted. Those two items, 2 to 3 hours.
Second it.
Mhm.
okay,
Greg seconded.
Yep.
All in favor?
All right.
Right.
I'll abstain.
Can't abstain.
We got it aside.
I'm fine, yes.
Yeah.
He started it.
Well, I
He's like, I don't wanna vote. I vote no on you. That's it.
Well, I want to vote for my money. That's
You're
just
not,
it.
it's not your money.
Well,
It's our money, it's the
Well, I know.
community's money. Come on.
I didn't want to.
Okay,
That's just
Okay.
how it
Um,
is, yeah.
anything else?
Okay.
Not on that. I just, no, I think we're pretty clear.
There's
on what-
discussion items, conversation with Altoona County.
Oh.
Do we have, does any, where this one came from?
I
Mm.
think
Well, I
it's
had-
probably carry over.
Leftover?
Go,
I
Greg,
had-
yes.
Yeah, I had left that on there when we were actively engaged with Osceola on a number of things to which they haven't responded to anything in 6 months. So if we want to remove it from the agenda, we can remove it as a standing item.
Okay,
Did you note the CROA refusal to give Peggy Chowdhury the use of Lakeside?
That doesn't fall under approving, so I didn't, it's.
I still look down there.
Guys, the one thing I do have is the 10th of September for the workshop. My apologies. I have to be overseas for work and I'm going to be plus 8 hours. Is there any way we can reschedule that? I can do it if we need to hold that date. I'll just take some Red Bull and make it happen, but I won't be able to be there in person. I'll be back after the 20th or so.
I would be up to
I don't know why is there a rush? There's no statute.
there is no rush, at all. The contract will renew, in February, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean that the board can't make scope changes or anything like that. So-
This was intended, Dave, from last month of just, hey, if we want to get ahead of the curve of any scope changes that anybody may want to look in their desires. It was a board conversation about what we want the next contract to look like.
Do you want to have it before the next meeting and then 24th? Just push it out. Go back to 4 o'clock.
Are you saying doing it the 24th, like at 5 o'clock, right before our regular meeting?
5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever it is? You want to serve dinner or
Well, I won't be there on the 24th because it's earlier than 6. I can make the meeting, but not a workshop.
You could send, whatever date they send and whoever can't make it, you can send in any contract changes or scope changes that you want.
Here we go.
So that's 2 people that won't be able to make the meeting. You 3 are gonna be here,
I'm there on the
On
24th.
when?
the 24th.
For the meeting?
Mm-hmm,
I could be here for the meeting, not the workshop.
okay,
If there's-
as long as we have 3, if not,
Yeah,
we'll
there's
have
a
to
workshop.
reschedule.
Right now, I could make.
Cause Greg's not gonna be here and Dave's not gonna be here.
He won't be here for the 10th. I won't be here for the 24th.
He'll be
Yeah,
there.
it's the workshop we're talking.
Oh, you'll be here on the 24th, Greg?
Yes.
Mhm.
We'll be there for the meeting at 6 and I can be there earlier if there's consensus to do a workshop at 4:30 or 5 o'clock.
And again, if you don't do a workshop, everybody can send in their changes. Jan can put them in as a red line and send it out to everyone. If you don't want to have a workshop. Again,
I
it's
mean,
just scope.
I think there's value in having a conversation on the board of the intent of it. Just one guy's opinion, and we talked about it for a few minutes last time. I think there's value in it, but if folks just want to redline it, we can do that as well. I'm just trying to figure out how we brought it up last meeting, how we got into contract negotiations last time where the board had delegated it to me with certain guidelines. And then you and I went and negotiated it, brought it back to the board for their approval, if that was the same path we wanted to take or not. And the consensus from the board from the last meeting was we wanted to have a workshop to discuss what we want the next contract to look like.
I would just say, start the meeting an hour early in October. If we can't do it in September, it's plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean,
If you wanna-
I don't know that
make it
there'd
an
be
agenda item
major
for-
changes. to
Yeah, or
the-
just an agenda item, because, I mean, the real scope work was last year. This is looking at the contract and saying, hey, what about this or this, or how do we wanna?
So you want to push it
Administer.
back to October 22nd then? 5 PM? Well, that's what Jan just said.
Yeah, whatever you wanna
Either
do.
add it to an agenda or just make it, the meeting start an hour early.
When's the agenda in October? When's the meeting in October?
The fourth,
Second.
It's not showing up on the calendar.
Oh,
You didn't put it in yet.
No, it should.
no,
Oh, because it's a new
it's
year.
the new fiscal year, that's
New
why.
year, it doesn't
I
show
expect
yet.
things.
So it'd be the 29th or
Put that in
22nd.
22nd, sorry.
Yeah, I'm okay with the 22nd.
I'm fine if we want to do that. 5 o'clock.
Yeah, any time after 4.
So,
You'll be there, Dave?
I'll be in country. on the
Mhm.
22nd.
so October 22nd at 5 o'clock,
I'm good with that.
5 PM, do a
We got
workshop,
5 to 6 workshop and then the meeting.
and then
It starts at
6 PM
6.
meeting. Okay,
That changes the calendar.
Yeah, I can say I'll be here for the workshop. Yeah.
all right. Brenda will advertise that October 22nd workshop. For an
Well, I
hour
will just include that workshop on the meeting schedule since I haven't
Yep.
submitted that ad that y'all just approved. So I'll include that for 5 o'clock. Yep.
That is correct.
On the 22nd.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
It's fine.
yeah, Thursday.
Okay.
Okay,
What do we have now?
Supervisors.
Yeah, supervisor comments. Please be nice. Any comments?
Oh, yeah, I got a laundry list here. Hold on.
I read them. They're great.
Why did you ask?
Well, it's on the agenda.
he already provided his.
He didn't bring it
Yeah,
up.
it is. Greg and his Jack.
I'm good. I'm ready to go home.
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Greg, anything?
I think
Good to go.
Yeah, I don't have anything. All right, public comment period. There's nobody here.
That's it.
Move to adjourn. I move to adjourn.
Jack.
Second. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Did a good job.
No,
Thanks, guys, out here.